Good evening and welcome to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and the one and only, the legendary James Browning. How are you tonight, James?
Yeah, good to see you again, Mark.
Now you're back. You've been gallivanting off around Sweden while we and the boys have been working here.
Yeah, no, I've been gallivanting again. Yeah, Stockholm this time. It was interesting.
I hope you showed them the merits of King 8 over there.
I left that one alone.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's a shame. Anyway, let's see a little bit about the show and what we've got in store for you tonight. If you're new to the show, the name of the show is Poker Night Live, and as the name suggests, it is a night full of poker. Now, the variation, we're going to be watching a form of poker called Texas Hold'em, which is a variation of poker. In it, you get 2 hidden hole cards, which no one else can see, and 5 community cards, which everyone can use. In between all of that, there are going to be 4 rounds of betting. And it's the betting that determines who are the winners and who are the losers. Now, the lovely thing about this particular show is that you get to see everyone's hole cards. That's right, you can actually sit in their shoes and decide how you would have played each particular hand. Now, I did say that the show is called Poker Night Live. In fact, it is a live show. Myself is live, James is live. However, the poker is actually delayed by 5 minutes, which means that players who are playing can't actually turn on TVs and see what each other's hole cards are. Now, that wouldn't be fair, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
No, not unless we.
It could be useful in Beat the Presenter, but
yeah, maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll turn it off just for that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can't really do that, folks. I'm just joking. Anyway, as I said, it is a live show, but it is also an interactive show. And if you'd like to get interactive with me or James, there are 2 ways you can do that. First way is by texting the show. We have a new text number, so don't forget to use this one. It is 84222. You put in the word poker and type your message and put your name at the bottom. And myself or James will read it out live on air and give you our thoughts on the subject. Of course, if you want to do it the other way, you can do. And that is email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. That's the way to email us. And don't forget, if you want to use that, that's a new text number. Mustn't forget our new text number, 84222, and put the word poker in there and then your message. That's the way to do that. Now, the great thing about this show is that we have a variety of games, and perhaps, James, you can take us through those and see what we have for our viewers tonight.
It would be a pleasure, Mark. Let's have a look at the menu for tonight. We're kicking off with a small cash game. It's a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game, but we've got a full table and lots of regulars there. And then this is followed by a $5 sit and go. Beginning level, 10.20. Now, double the price. Yep, that's right. It's a $10 sit and go. Ping, also at the beginning level. Started with 1,000 chips there. You can see there's hardly been a hand played. And it's a change of colour. It's green. It's multi-table tournament time. And we will be dipping into that tournament throughout the night and hopefully joining the final, because it's one of my favourite moments these days, because there's normally a load of play and a lot of interesting heads-up stuff at the end.
Yeah, I'm just having a look across, James. 114 players entered that one. So
that'll be good. And actually, I remember when we have sort of that number, we often really get a good final table, because the chip size is about right, and there's a lot of play there in those final stages.
Yeah, they have been good tournaments, haven't they?
I think they've been good. And I think the heads-up has been worth watching as well in that, because there's generally been a bit of play.
Yeah. Now, talking about the multi-table tournaments, we do have a great little feature, which is every Sunday we have a qualifier to the Poker Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that sounds brilliant.
Now, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the nice thing about it is it's a $10 rebuy tournament, and where the finals, if you remember last time, the finalists all come into the studio and play out their
so we can see exactly what these funny names look like. That's the best bit, isn't it?
So it's a great thing. So it's going to be, it's very exciting. A lot of players are entering it. So it should be lots of fun and lots of excitement. Are you going to enter?
I think I'm going to watch. I'm only hoping that Flirty Liz gets to the final, because she hasn't sent me a photo yet, but then I'm bound to see her then if she gets to the final.
Now, is this the person, wasn't it Flirty Les? Wasn't this what wasn't it?
No,
we're not really convinced, are we? We don't
someone
know.
Put Dirty Les, but it's not. It's Flirty Liz.
But we don't really know for sure, do we?
Mark, don't upset me.
But we don't know for sure, do we, James?
I know it's Flirty Liz.
It could be anyone. Let's head over to our multi-table tournament and see what's going on there.
You could upset me, Mark.
I thought you'd be happy.
Actually, no, she's upset me. She said that when I came back from Sweden, there'd be a photo waiting for me, and it's nowhere to be seen. That's not right, is it?
No, well, there's probably reasons behind that, James. Maybe she's gone off you.
Oh, that could be it.
Or maybe he's gone off you.
Here we are, multi-table tournament time. and it's at the starting level, which is 1020. And unlike the sit and goes, they get 1,500 chips to start with here, which gives them quite a bit of play. And what was it we said, 100 and...
114 started this one. Yeah, let me give you some of the stats on this. 114 started,
Stat away,
which
mate.
means there's 171,000 chips in play, 1,500 chips to each player started off, which creates a prize pool of $1,140. First prize, 10 places get paid. First prize is $342, all the way down to 10th, which is $17.10.
Very good.
So, very nice indeedy. So, you had a good time in Sweden.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it. I'll tell you what, I was a little bit... I mean, the tournament was brilliant. You got 25,000 chips, and it was an hour-long clock. And then eventually...
What were the starting blinds?
The starting blinds...
Must have been 5,100.
Let me... Oh, hang on. Must get this right now. The starting blinds were 25.50.
Really? With 25? No, you would have been on there for about a week playing that.
It was a two... No, what happened was they had to split the field over 2 days for the starting day, followed by a final day.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I hope during that little trip to Sweden that you put the great back into Britain and show them the merits of the British play.
Unfortunately, I did actually in one way. I didn't in the tournament, and I wasn't fully happy with my play. I didn't get cards, and I got away from some hands which I was quite pleased with, but there was a couple I was not quite happy with the play. And I think I probably just panicked just a little too soon.
James, you panicking?
I know, which is unusual. However, the only good thing about the trip was I did really well in the cash games. I played, it was like a 50-50, is what they called it, which was 50-50 Swedish krona cash game, pot limit hold'em I was playing, rather than the limit, because I played quite a lot of limit games there, but I played the pot limit, and I won every session bar one, and the session I lost was only a small loss. So that was quite good. So I didn't cover the trip, but I eased the pain, let's put it that way.
Okay, well that helps a little.
So,
We've got one of our regular viewers on there, James, just switching over, Miss Votavova.
Oh, yes. Sounds like a tennis player, doesn't she?
Yeah. So
yeah, I recovered 25,000 krona in the cash games. So that, as I said, eased the pain of the trip. But I really enjoyed it. They're so efficient. The tournament starts at 3 o'clock. Ping! It starts at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Luton would have a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, most places are like that, aren't they?
I know. Most places don't start on time. They were absolutely precise.
You see, one of the things about, partly, I mean, I understand the situation. Having said that, the Vic were pretty good in their last festival. I remember they were starting pretty much on time, very close to it anyway.
Apart from a tournament where they kept on changing the
structures, but they ruined it in the other way.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they were very precise in Sweden with what they did, I have to admit. Very, very organised.
Yeah.
That was quite impressive.
Yeah, well, the good thing, as I said, one of the interesting things about the UK, and part of the problem is the gaming law. The gaming law means that, you see, if someone isn't sitting in their seat once they've bought in for the tournament, the casino is obliged to actually give them the money back. In fact, they can't even start. They can't even sit down. So they have
It's a load of rubbish.
What do you mean?
It's a load of rubbish, that rule.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely.
So what they should do is the way the states do it, basically.
Well, no, do what Sweden does. You can buy, if you're bought in for the tournament, you're in the tournament. If you're late, unlucky, and your
exactly.
chips,
well, that's what I mean.
There.
That's exactly the same as the states.
Yeah. And then you just put normal blinds in. You don't have this rule, which is in some English tables. If you're not there, we start blinding you every hand. Well, that's a load of rubbish. You've paid your entry.
Yeah.
You could sit there and not play a hand. You'd only put your blinds in. Why should you be penalised any other way? And that's how it, in Europe, in Austria and Sweden, they do it correctly.
It's a very stupid rule, really, for the UK.
In England, yes. And it's been twisted by people all the time. Oh, he's away from the table for 5 hands. Start putting his big... What is this? It's Mickey Mouse, isn't it?
It is nonsense, yeah, I totally agree.
But Sweden there, you can enter the tournament. If you turn up 2 hours late, well, you know, unlucky. You've been
blinded off.
But the normal state.
But accordingly,
yeah.
Accordingly. No, it's the same in most places. I think we're the only ones that do it that way. Okay, so, James, I think we've got 1 or 2 emails coming through already.
Oh, already? That's good.
Yes, that's pretty good. Do you want to have a look, see what they are?
No, you have a look.
I have a look, OK. I'll have a look and you answer the question. Here we go. First one is from Ian Oakwell Red, as he's better known.
Oh,
do you know
right.
him?
Seems familiar.
Does he? Okay. I don't know, no idea who he is.
I was
Anyway,
bluffing.
we've got a message from Ian. Thanks very much for your message, Ian. He says, "Hi guys, loving the show as usual. Quick question for you. Playing a big pair like queens or kings, I raise pre-flop 4 times the big blind and get 2 callers. I'm under the button." Under the button? What does that mean?
I'm not quite sure. Maybe he's on the button, I think.
He's under the button? No, it means he's been cut off, maybe.
Oh, I see, maybe.
Maybe. Anyway, whatever, he's around that area. Flop comes ace 7-5, unsuited. Checked round to me, so I bet again 4 times the big blind. Both call with no re-raise. Where am I? Many thanks.
He bet again 4 times the big blind, and then both called with no re-raise. Where am I?
Okay.
Okay, in that case, you know, you've done your raise, your 4 times the big blind, you've got 2 callers, okay? The flop comes ace-7-5. We presume what you mean is under the button, you're either on the button or the cutoff, so you've got late position. They've checked, you've bet, and you've now got 2 callers. Well, hang on, you've done enough as far as I'm concerned. Don't be trying any more now, because you've got 2 people there. Now, to try and get 2, you've tried a continuation bet, you've asked the question where you are. The chances are that one of those players at least has got an ace. Maybe it's an ace with a poorer kicker, and that's why he's not been doing anything. But if he's got an ace with any kicker, you are in trouble. So I think you've done enough, and I wouldn't be inclined to be losing any more money in that pot.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, James. I'll tell you my viewpoints on it. First of all, I think your bet is wrong. I must say that. I think the 4 times a big blind is not a good bet for the simple reason it's only about 1/3 of the pot. It's less than 1/3 of the pot, in fact, depending on whether the blinds are in or not. So that's not a particularly good bet because it doesn't really give you any information. The guys could think you're just trying a little steal on the end there if you're on the button, and that won't really help you. So you really need to put out a bet to ask a question. Now, you either want to ask a question or you don't. So there's 2 ways you can do it. In my view, either put in a near pot size bet or a 3/4 of a pot size bet around 800, 900, something around that area to see where you are. And if you get resistance, then just give it up at that point. Alternatively, you can look to see where the betting action is on the turn, and that's another way of doing it. Once again, it does depend on how your chip stack is. If your chip stack is pretty deep and you're pretty high, you might want to go for option 1. If it's not that deep, then you might want to go for option 2. It really depends on what stage the tournament is and that sort of thing. Where are you is a question you are. It's very simple. It does depend on your betting. It does depend on what kind of question you're asking your people. Your question doesn't really ask any question whatsoever, to be honest. That's the problem. It doesn't really suggest anything to the other guys. They'll just hop along with anything, possibly. You know, with a bad flush draw, an inside straight draw, they might even try and take you on with. So you're not really asking a proper question.
I didn't think... Was there a flush draw on the flop?
It says unsuited, you're
unsuited.
Right. Yeah,
oh,
but
yeah.
They could be chasing with an inside straight draw or anything. So my point is you want to find out where you're at. And if you are at... if you've asked a question, the kind of response you'll be getting by 2 callers is this. They've either got a weak ace, a strong 7, or a draw or a decent draw. Now, the draw generally won't mean, if it's a good question you've asked, then a draw generally won't mean an inside straight draw. It'll either mean an up and down straight draw, a very strong 7, but it's unlikely in this case, I think, or they're playing a monster, of course. So you've got to decide which of those is it. A bad draw, is it a draw, is it a weak ace, or is it a set or something like that? So that's the question you really need to ask. But you only do that by making a strong bet in the first place.
Oh dear, we're going to have our first disagreement for a long, long time. I'm sorry, I can't sit here and listen to this all the time. If we look at this flop, it's ace-7-5 unsuited, so there's no flush draw. If we're looking at a straight draw, it means he's called a raise. He's raised 4 times the big blind with 6-8. Not so likely.
I think it's possible. 6-8. I think someone that might call 6-8 suited. The third person might call.
Not so likely. Not so likely calling 6-8, not 4 times the big blind. And the other hands out there, I can't see anything much there. Ace-7-5. If anything, what they could be in there with is a pair of 7s, a pair of 5s, and click trips. So therefore, his bet of 4 times, he's bet 1/3 the pot against 2 people. In that case, against that flop, unsuited, and looking at the possible hands out there, I think the size of his bet is quite good, actually. If it was suited, then I would raise the size of the bet. So that would be the little bit I would...
I think the bet's too weak.
I think you've got to investigate what that flop looks like. I think that flop is an unusual flop, ace-7-5. As I said, you've got to imagine what hands could he have. 6-8, I don't think it's too likely.
He could have a pair of 8s.
He could have a pair of 8s.
And what happens next? The problem is, if you've made that weak bet and you've got
he could have a pair. That's a good point. Good by Mark. He could have a middle pair, which is quite a likely hand. You could call with a raise. But then, he doesn't quite know where he is anyway here, because he doesn't like the fact that...
No, but I'll tell you what will happen, James, is what will happen now, if he's made that weak bet, this guy will say, OK, I've got a pair of eights, I'm going to call. Right. So he calls with his pair of eights, the other guy folds.
I think it would be...
Now he checks on the flop, on the turn, the next card, and now he thinks, OK, well, you obviously don't have an ace, my eights must be winning, so he now bets out.
How about we raise his bet to half the pot? Don't you think that would solve everything?
I think it needs to be slightly more than half, personally.
All right, but then the thing is...
I think the worst you can get away with is
if
about
the guy's got
700.
ace, if the guy's got an ace, you don't want to be leaving too much money behind.
No, but you've got to ask... You're the one that always says, ask a question.
Yes, I do say ask a question, but I'm saying you look at the flop to see what you might be against. And you don't want to leave too much behind. So I'm saying now, how about he raises it to half the pot from rather a third the pot? I think he is a little bit low in his bet. I'm agreeing with you there. But I don't think he needs to be putting in too big a bet. So I'm saying perhaps if he raised to half a pot, especially with the funny mixture of that flop, no flush draw and an unlikely straight draw. If it was like, you know, two other cards together, a more likely, you know, 10 jack and there's, oh, not 10 jack, but like, you know, 8, 9, and you could well have 10 jack. More likely hands out there, it's a different thing. I just don't think there's too much for the opposition to have there which connects. In fact, I think more likely that they're going to have the sort of hand you said, like
sixes or eights.
Or tens
or nines or whatever.
Yeah.
OK, so there you are. The thing you've got to remember is that, so when you're deciding to bet, is that you've got to say, will this guy call me with a bad draw? You've been playing against him, you will find out. And if the answer is yes, then you've got to make that a little bit painful for him. Otherwise, you just won't find out, especially if he's got position on you. Now, I'm not sure whether he's got position on you or not by your... you know, by the under the button thing. But if he's got position on you, that's very awkward. If you've got position on him, that's obviously a lot better.
We were presuming he had position, I thought. Yeah. I said presuming that he had... my comments are assuming that he's on the button or cut off.
Yeah.
If you gave it half the pot, by the way, and the guy is on the straight draw, you're only giving him odds of 3 to 1 anyway.
Yeah, see, the only thing
so he's not getting the right price for the draw anyway. No,
the only thing about position in that situation is this, is that if you've got position, whilst that's beneficial for the turn, it's not beneficial for the river. In as much that, well, the betting could go now. If you bet half the pot and he decides to call with his pair of eights...
hang on, this was the flop. So the next card's a turn. So it's beneficial there because you've put a bet in, and even if they've called... Now they've still got to act first again.
No, let's say but let's say this happens now. So he now decides to check the first guy, and you've got position on him. Do you put another bet out?
No, well, there's two guys ahead of you.
Let's say one of them's gone out, but one of them's called.
No, we're talking about the situation in hand. They've both called. Now what happens? Do they both check?
Do they both check? Let's say they do. Then what do you do?
Yeah, you could check again. If the card's nothing.
Now the guy with a pair of eights.
Because now you're just controlling the size of the pot.
But the guy with a pair of eights, if one of them has a pair of eights, is now likely to bet out on the river. He might decide to put a value bet or a stop bet out there.
So I could be checking and calling here now.
Will you though?
Yeah, if I'm checking with the idea of calling.
Okay.
So therefore I'll catch his bluffs, and I'm controlling the size of the pot.
Yeah.
Interesting hand.
Yeah, we both play it different ways. There you are. You take your view, whether you would play it James's way or my way. Anyway, we shall move on to the cash game next. So let's head over to our cash game. That's an interesting point, James.
No. It is. We're not really playing it differently. I just don't think. I think half size pot would be probably where I would zing into more likely than the third. But I wouldn't go necessarily any higher, just because of the strange mixture of that flop.
I need it to be a little more than half the pot.
Generally, I do. And if the flop's any more dangerous, then generally I want to ask a proper question.
And the reason one of the reasons I want it slightly more is it's got to make the person feel. It's got to have some kind of feeling for the person. It's got to have it's got to be a little bit painful. You mustn't just prick him with a little pin. You've got to give it to him a little bit so that he feels that if he's on a, does he really want to play his eights now? Yeah,
but the only thing is, you've raised with your kings. You've been called by two people. One of the hands which are likely to have called with are going to be hands with aces in them as well.
I agree.
So therefore, this is not your greatest flop. They're checking. They could be checking with strength to you, just to try and trap you. So that's why you don't want to suddenly give them too big a present. So you try to ask the question for less, because there is a lot of the time, a percentage of the time, they're going to be waiting there with their ace-king or their ace-queen, and they're going to come back over the top of you, and then you're going to have to put it down.
Oh, of course.
So you don't want to, but you don't want to have to find out for too much, because
But isn't it?
You're paying too much for your question.
But you've said the point earlier to me. I'm not in this.
Yes.
In fact, last time I think you said it's better to put out one big bet there than 2, 3 little bets.
Yes, generally. And a lot of situations that is the case. Rather than going 100, 100, 100, one bet at 300 has a lot more clout to it, a lot more oomph to it, and probably has a higher success rate. So rather than 3 dribbles, one big one, which I will generally say. But in this one, you've raised with your kings, your last thing you want to see is the ace. So you do a little quiet sigh inside yourself because you've got 2 opponents. It's worse now because mathematically it's quite likely one of them's got an ace. What are they both calling with? It's unlikely they've both got pairs. I mean, this is, we're going to say, God, look at that, kings, tens and jacks, how unusual. It's difficult for them to have pairs. We know 16-1 against someone to pick up a pair. So, but when it's quite likely there's an ace there, especially with 2 opponents. So because of that, and the person then will check to the raiser because they know that people will often put in a continuation bet with nothing. Or they might have the underpair and the guy might have the ace and they say, well, I might get away from it. If they're worried about that, then they will even pass to the smaller bet. If you're sitting there with your 8s and I've put in half the bet, you're not going to be... I've got position on you. You're not going to be calling with your 8s now. You're going to reluctantly chuck it away.
Possibly. But you could do that, I know, without the ace.
Yes. But... Again, if there's another person there, you can't...
See, the other thing
you're trapped a bit by him because...
Sure.
So people aren't likely to be calling it. That's what I'm saying. Because of the nature... This is an unusual situation because it's a 3-way pot. That's why it's...
The other reason, I think, important thing for me...
I love this to be... This is a great... I hope we're trying to follow this because this is a great hand to be discussing because it's bringing up all different concepts here and how one should be thinking. So it's... I enjoy talking about this with Mark anyway because this is brilliant because it really, this is how you have to start pulling the game to pieces and try to think about different concepts of it.
The other thing I like about this situation, James, and the reason I like the bigger bet in the first place, is that it also has a stronger chance of buying you the turn and the river card for free. Whereas a smaller bet, there is a slightly bigger chance that the person will put out a bet on the turn or on the river. Whereas if you put out that big bet, there's a good chance they'll check. Well, they'll obviously check the turn. Almost certainly will check the turn if they've got a weak ace, hoping just to check and call it down all the way. Plus, I think the bigger bet might mean as well that you might as well induce a free card for the river as well in order for you to try and hit your queens. If that's or kings, whichever it happens to be.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I don't think you're going to put off the guy who's got the ace anyway, though, are you?
Yeah. But by virtue, you're also buying...
If they haven't got the ace, you're winning anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be hitting anything else.
No, unless they hit theirs, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, one of the other problem hands you could have in that situation, of course, which we didn't really look into, we're talking about pair of 8s, is obviously if it's a pair of 6s, which he might feel, OK, I've got 3 cards straight, let's see what the next card is, if it helps me or, if it doesn't.
Right.
For a small bet, he's likely to call with a 3 card straight.
Yeah, and how good is that for him? He's not
Depends
getting
what the next card is.
He's not getting value.
He might be getting implied odds against 2 people.
Against a pair of kings and calling with a pair of 6s, he's not getting value. He's got 2 outs.
Well, you're talking about the 6s. I'm talking about the fact that he's got
the
backdoor straight.
So we count that as 1 out. So therefore he's got 3 outs. So he's not getting great value, is he? Because he's a massive dog to...
Well, of course he's a dog. There's no 2 ways about that. But he has got huge implied odds.
Even at a third of the pot, he's not getting anything like value.
He's got huge implied odds, depending on how deep they're sitting.
Yeah, he has, got implied odds, but...
They're huge, aren't they?
Well, not really, because if the backdoor straight appears, that starts to become quite apparent.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if a 4 comes down on the next card, I don't think the guy's going to put him on, ace-6 or king-6 or something.
2 cards related to that have got to come together, so
of course.
It does become a little bit apparent, because there's going to be 4 of those cards staring you in the face. So there's only going to have 1 missing link, so it does become a little bit apparent, but... I can see what you mean by implied odds. I think they've got a bit of implied odds probably on the trips.
Yeah.
But that's only a 2 out. It is,
Yeah, so if you have any other views that you would like to discuss relating to what me and James are discussing, or any other views you'd like to talk about in relation to situational problems, then there's 2 ways of doing it. 84222 is a text number. Don't forget to put the word in poker, followed by your message, followed by your name. That's one way of doing it. The other way is by emailing the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. So it'd be quite interesting to hear from other people on the subject. So let's head over to our multi-table tournament, I believe.
Yeah, let's have another look at that.
And have a little look at that. Sorry you guys who are playing a cash game that we completely ignored you. It wasn't our intention, but it was an important point, and hopefully one or two things would have been picked up on that. So we'll just give you a quick update on this multi-table tournament, then we'll head straight back to that cash game and give you some of our thoughts on that.
We've got a raise to 150 here by Cam King. This has been called by the Queen King.
Quite a good message that from Ian. Thanks very much for that. Oakwell Red.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Sparked off some discussion early in the tournament, in the programme. That's what we like. Cam King with a King 5. Don't know what he's dwelling up there. Nothing much there. Mr. Oasis has got Ace 3 offsuit and small. And it's a raise from G67 with pair of 7s.
Okay, just give you some updates on this, James. And viewers out there wondering how this tournament is panning out so far. There are 94 players left.
Right.
Big Stack is just under 5,000 chips. And Small Stack is on his last legs with 242. So still a lot of play for these guys. If they've got 1,500 chips or more, they've still got 30 times the big blind. So
yep. Average chips is now 1,800.
Yeah, so they're still okay at the moment. Really, the time you're generally happy is if you've got 25 or more, 25 or more, then you're generally in a fairly comfortable position. So we're watching a multi-table tournament. Started off with 114 players. Blinds are now 25.50. I believe 25.50 is the third level in this. Always a good tournament to watch this because it really do get to play some poker here. The blinds are fairly low in comparison to the chips generally throughout. So be interesting to see how this table pans out.
There's a flop flush there. It's a very small one, but still tasty. And can't see much happening in this middle stages here. It's Jack 3, 5, 3, 2, 10, 2 look pretty motley. Queen King might be tempted to dip his toe in the water. And he does just dip his toe in the water. And there we have Queen King in the unraised pot. And look at that, it's hit the king, unraised pot, it's probably good. He didn't follow. Come on, Mr. Oasis. This is King Queen in the land of the unraised pot. That's it. Well done. Bet it.
Now, I was talking with Casper the other day. Is this something that you've made up, James?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because he was saying he heard it somewhere else as well. No. Are you sure?
It's absolutely
Are you sure you haven't pilfered it from somewhere?
It's completely my own. Completely my own.
Because, you know, I did turn on TV on last night and listen to you doing a rendition of Deputy Dog.
Well, that was
that's not your own.
That was a copy.
Yeah, that was a copy.
No, King Queen in the land of the unraised pot was made up here from my sweet little brain on Poker Night Live. It was made up live.
Never... I'm not sure there's anything sweet about it, but yeah. Okay, I can win with that one.
And in fact, and that's why someone there even translated into Latin for me on the night. Because Dr. Tom said he thought it could be my emblem on my shield.
Yeah, brilliant.
So no, tell Casper that is purely...
What shield is that exactly?
Well, if I had a shield,
okay, it
would be my, my emblem on it.
Are you thinking of getting one?
I think I will, to have King Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot.
No, you think of getting a shield?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so I can put the motto on it.
Like a coat of arms?
Yeah, coat of arms, the James Browning coat of arms, JB, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting, yeah. The Knight Browning,
you can buy a blazer with it.
I think we'd better move on. Let's head back to that cash game.
Yeah, so tell Cass
you've been spending too much time in Sweden, James.
Tell Cass that is purely mine.
So let's have a look what we've got here. Right, we've got a 25-cent, 50-cent cash game. Maximum buy-in for this is $50. Minimum buy-in is $5. So we can see that Tragic Trev is on the is doing pretty well so far with $138. So he's almost tripled his starting stack, so that's very healthy indeed. He seems to be doing pretty well in these games, Tragic Trevor. Always seems to turn on, and he always seems to have a nice amount of chips in front of him. So good lad, good to see our regulars doing well. And snap it in the corner there.
Yeah, Snapper's been doing well in the cash games.
Yeah,
Very
he has,
consistent
yeah.
Recently. Anyway, so does Casper agree with it or not?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think he does.
All right.
Yeah. Not sure I agree with it, but... Yeah.
Oh, you don't agree with it, don't you?
Do I? I actually tried it your way, to be honest with you. I never used to. And then I tried it your way, and since I've been playing it that way, I keep losing with it. So, so I'm going back to my way.
You don't agree with it in theory?
No. Yes and no. Yes and no. For a new player, I'd say it's probably a very good thing to follow. But I don't think it's something an experienced player can use.
Well, maybe you don't understand it.
Well, I think I can work it out.
No, you don't understand the full theory of what I'm saying. It's not just.
I understand the reason behind it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
I understand totally the reasoning behind it.
I'm amazed that you can't agree with that. Then
I'm not saying that, and I think it has some
in an unraised pot. You don't believe that King Queen has now become strong.
I do believe it comes strong.
And now, if you hit your King or Queen in an unraised pot, you know more where you are because you're probably in a very strong position.
I would like to be. I'd like to be the raiser of King Queen, generally speaking.
Right, but okay, but that defeats it because you don't know where you are. You're now in the land of trouble because you could be raising early position with King Queen and walking against the Ace Queen or the Ace King. So you don't know where you are. That's the problem.
If they call, you mean?
Well, I think the Ace King's going to be calling, Mark.
No. I'm not saying that they won't call, but I'm saying if they call and don't raise, you're referring to.
Yes. Well, okay, or you'd be losing your raise behind if they re-raise you and you want to pass. So therefore, you're not finding out where you are in that situation. But if I had King Queen in a late position and then no one had raised it then, well, then I could raise with it because it is now an unraised pot anyway.
Yeah. I'm not convinced, James, to be honest. I'm not convinced. I'll tell you why.
I've followed it a lot since I talked about it.
Yeah.
And
well,
I watch it a lot on here and it's absolutely... I'm more convinced by it than I ever was.
Okay, well, that's interesting because the most important thing, I think, for anyone with any of these theories is this. At the end of the day, everyone has different games. And the most important thing is that any of these theories will work for some players and won't work for others. Now, for me, it doesn't work, personally. For what reason, how it doesn't fit into my game, I couldn't tell you exactly. But it doesn't seem to work for the simple reason that I just seem to lose since I've been converted to your way of thinking.
Right, okay.
So, since I've been more aggressive with it, it seems to have worked a lot better. But you do have to, I think, for a new player, then almost certainly it's the right way to go, for the simple reason that it's very easy, otherwise, if you don't, to lose money if you're not that sort of efficient at reading the game.
The ruling of it is it doesn't mean to say there's never a situation when you don't raise with it or bet with it, because there'll be a situation in a tournament when I'll be putting my money in with King 8, never mind King Queen. So I'll be raising with that. So there's always exceptions to it. But this is like a general rule. A general rule for players is either theoretically right or not, and I'm pretty sure it is theoretically right.
I don't think that's fair to say that. Because I think it would be wrong to say that, in fact, because I can guarantee you one thing, that if you were to talk about the Phil Helmuths, the Phil Ivies, the Danny Negranus, if they were to have an early position raise and they were on the button with King Queen, I don't think they're throwing it away.
Sorry?
If they're I don't think they're...
Say it again, no, say it again. If
they're on the button,
yes,
I don't think they're throwing away King Queen away.
If what?
If they've got King Queen and there's been an early or middle position raise, I don't think they're throwing King Queen away, which goes against what you're thinking.
No, I said I wonder if you understand what my ruling is. Now I'm saying King Queen rules in the land of the unraised pot. That's why you don't quite understand it. That's what I meant before. You could still play it if you believed it was against the right person, because he always moves with anything. Of course, there's an exception to that. Then you'd say, oh, well, listen, he does this with anything. I've got position. I want to play it in position. That isn't what the rule's saying. It's saying when you're in the situation and it's an unraised pot, then this now becomes, from being a danger hand, which it is a dangerous hand, because the fact is, why is it dangerous? It's a hand where you can lose big pots and win small pots because you don't know where you are with it. That's the problem with King Queen.
All right, let me say the same thing.
So therefore, That's why it's a danger hand. But when you're in an unraised pot, now you know where you are more, because there's a good chance that the aces would have raised beforehand and they haven't. There's a good chance they're not there. So the danger hands for King Queen are likely most of the time not to be there. So now it takes on a new light. So that's the principle of it.
All right.
So that, in theory, I will vouch is going to be right.
Okay, well, I'll negate that with my own thoughts.
Okay.
And I'll give you a few of those. First one is by not raising with it, you're now adding value for everyone else to limp in with their 7-5s, with their 6-8s.
No, again, you've missed the point.
But one sec, though.
I'm not saying about the action with the hand. I'm saying when you're in a pot and there hasn't been action.
This is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, but
so you're limping in an early position.
You're now saying by not doing this, you're giving this. I'm saying about. It says a different thing. It says when you're in there when it's not been raised, whatever. That's when you know where you are with it.
So you're first to act, and you're sorry, I wouldn't say you're first to act. Yeah. You're in seat. The small blind is seat 1, so we'll say you're in seat 4 with King Queen. Are you saying that you'd limp in at that point?
Sorry,
you're in seat 4, assuming that small blind is seat 1.
Yeah, so, I'd probably limp in. Yeah.
So this is my point. This is my point. I'm saying by limping in there, for one thing, you're creating value for the rest of the players behind you to limp in with their hands. Obviously, with the 6-8s and the 7-5s and the 9-7s.
And with the Queen Jacks, and with the Queen 10s, and with the King 9s and King 8s.
Yeah, absolutely.
All giving me action, all giving me value, because they don't believe that I've got such a strong hand.
But the problem is that I don't think that King Queen plays very particularly well in the multi-way pot.
No, I've played it. Well, I do this a lot in cash games. I've had loads of success with it. The reason is I get away from the trouble hands, the Ace Kings, the Ace Queens. I end up getting paid off by the Queen Jacks, the King Jacks, the King 10s, all these hands, because they don't believe I've got such a hand as King Queen. So therefore I avoid the danger hands and I capture against these lesser hands who've decided to limp in because they've limped in with any old garbage.
And what about the guy that's hit bottom 2 pair and stuff like that? You know, because there are so many.
Poker. You have to watch out for you,
but that will happen, obviously.
Yeah, but that happens in any hand. That can happen.
Well,
you can have Ace King and you can have Ace King and suited and run against
trips. But my point is that you're likely to make it happen more when you limp in with this kind of hand, because now people behind you are going to limp in too.
You've got to now play regular poker to know where you are and then know how to react to the situation.
I think that
I'm just giving I'm giving you my results, and my results playing it this way have been massively in my favour. Massively.
The other thing I would say with King Queen is just going back to what you're saying. Just going back to what I was saying a moment ago is. If we were talking about seat 4, I can't remember a situation that I've spotted a professional, when I say a professional, one of the top well-known professionals, limping in from false position with King Queen.
When you're watching a 6-seater final, you're not going to see limping in because the action's so fast. The only games you're watching these 6-seater finals where the blinds are so big. As I said earlier on, that's a different situation.
No, I'm talking about even in bigger ones, or when you're watching the ESPN ones, with the World Series ones, and it's 8, 9-seater finals, and they're all still there. Very rarely will you ever see a limper with King Queen.
And when they're showing highlights, they don't generally show you hands where someone limps in anyway.
I think you'll find that none of the top professionals, the Ivies and the Negranos, will say limp in with King Queen from seat 4 in a full-handed table. I don't think they will.
Right. Well, I'm talking especially.
Even Jesus says never be the first one to limp in.
Oh, well, I mean, how can never be one to limp in? I mean, you can...
First one to limp in.
Why not? You can limp in with a big hand, then come over the top of people. I mean, that is an acceptable play anyway.
Yeah, no, that's an acceptable play. But he's referring to, if there's a hand that you want to play that isn't aces, for example, or isn't kings,
right. Well,
then
you just said never limp in, so...
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I'm just making it clear to people, because you've got to make things clear.
Yeah, well, not with aces and not with kings. If you want to slow play them, and that's a different story, or, you want to slow play a big hand, that's very different. But I'm talking about a hand whereby it's not a massive hand, but it's got potential. Okay,
I'll tell you what I'm saying is, you spend your time calling raises with King Queen, you'll end up without a shirt in your back.
I'm not saying you should call raises with it.
Right.
But I'm saying I wouldn't want to be the limper with it.
So how are you going to play it then?
It depends on the situation. But generally, if I'm the first person, I'm not going to be limping in with it.
Right.
Generally speaking. Unless I'm in very early position and I feel that it's potential, and it's King Queen suited, and there's potential that there's going to be lots of raising behind me,
and
then I might try and get in cheap.
If you now raise up with King Queen in early position, and then people... are calling you, they'll call you down with aces and stuff. Now you're in that terrible situation now. You hit your king and you're up against the ace king. You hit your queen, you're up against the ace queen. You don't know where you are, you can only win a small pot and you can lose a big one.
But the reverse of that...
There's the trouble.
But there's a reverse of that. You know, there is a reverse of that, and the reverse of that is by limping in, you're allowing all these small little hands to come in, the 3-4 suited, the 5-7 suited.
King Queen's a dead.
And you know, there will be times if you're playing it multi-way, it doesn't play well multi-way.
There's a lot of time I don't even want to play King Queen.
No.
So, of course not. A lot of time I don't even want to play King Queen offsuit. Why?
I don't know. Why would you?
It's not a strong hand. It's a danger hand. That is Ace 10, Ace Jack, King Queens. These are danger hands, really danger hands. Exceptions. When the blinds are big, I'll be playing hands far worse than that. But in a regular game,
well,
especially
you've actually coined my point. If they're danger hands, you don't want to play them multi-way. You know, it's the last thing you want to play. They don't play well multi-way as far as I'm concerned.
No, because you know where you are, because if there's no strength there, you only end up playing them in hands where no one's got anything too strong, and then they become a strong hand. That is the principle of it.
I'm not convinced. I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced that King Queen's is a multi-way hand. I think it's something you want to play heads up and
at
want to try and isolate.
At least Cass agrees. So there's Dr. Tom agrees. Well, we've got a couple on my side.
We have. I shall kill James shortly during the break. Anyway, we've got a couple of emails coming through. So let's take one from Michelle. And Michelle is saying, now, this is Michelle, as in Michelle, our presenter, Michelle.
Oh, brilliant.
So she's got an email for us. And thanks very much, Michelle. Hello. Michelle's saying, I played in the Stan James Bounty multi-table tournament earlier and was the unluckiest person in the world. Twice. Bad beat coming along, James, I think.
It sounds like it.
I had a pair of 8s against Ace-2. We were all in. The board was 10-10-9, then King-King. Ooh, that's horrible, isn't it? So she basically got counterfeited, in effect. So 2 higher pairs were on the board. Yep, that was very unlucky, Michelle. So I stupidly lost most of my stack. I managed to make a little bit of a comeback with what I had left, and then ended up with all in with Ace-King and got called by stupid aces. Not happy. That is very unfortunate. Unbelievable, and now I can't play anymore because I'm tilting. Any remedies for me, please? Although saying that, I came 4th out of 400. Now, I know that she did that, but that's a fantastic achievement, isn't it?
That was a brilliant result, Michelle. And actually, I did send her a congratulatory email earlier because that was a brilliant result. 4th out of 400, that takes some doing. So that was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, James actually came 4th out of 6 the other day, so you know, that wasn't too bad. So anyway, I'm off to watch Narnia now. Have a good night. You're both looking devilishly handsome tonight. Well, I know we are, but you know, well, I know I am. I mean, James, just because he's wearing a certain tie nowadays. I mean, you should see him. He's got his shorts underneath there. Anyway, thanks very much for that, Michelle. Any remedies, James?
Well, for going on tilt, I think you've done the right thing. Stop if you think you're going on tilt and just chill out and play another day.
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
The safest
If you're disciplined enough, the best way of doing it is switch off the computer. Actually, switch it off.
Yeah. Or
do something else.
If you're in a live game, you think you've gone on tilt, stop for a while, go and have a walk around, sit and have a drink, watch the telly or something, and go back maybe half an hour later when your head's clear and say, I'll just start afresh. Yeah,
and the important thing is to realise that it's a very difficult thing to overcome. You know, I was watching Jennifer Harman in the World Series take a horrendous beat where the guy needed 1 card out the whole pack to win, a 7 of diamonds to make a straight flush, and she had the house.
Oh, yeah, I think...
And, you know, he hit the hand anyway. She was obviously on tilt after that. Straight away, she gets up, walks around for 10 minutes and decides to come back. And that's the mark of a professional. That's really what you need to do. Even the best pros can't counter that emotional frustration that you sometimes get.
It's difficult to.
It is difficult.
I think the one of the plus points for a good player, however, is to be a non-tilter. And that is a massive thing. There's 2 major points to be a successful player, in my mind, and to be a player who's successful for a long time, over the course of time. And that is, 1, not to be a tilter. Don't go on tilt. At the last hand of the night, if this is a hand you wouldn't play on the first hand of the night, don't play it. Doesn't matter how you're doing on that night, it's irrelevant. It's a continuous game. That's really important. The next thing to be able to be a good player is to be able to put, especially in no limit hold'em, is to be able to put a hand down. Because if you can't put a hand down, you're going to have a very hard time winning at the game. It will mean you're putting the winning hand down sometimes, and that is nothing to worry about. Because if you're capable of putting a winning hand down, think of all those losing hands you've put down. And at the end of the day, you'll be better off for it.
Does that include, when you're saying putting the losing hand down, does that mean you have to put King Queen down sometime? I nearly got it.
It means you'll put your pair of queens down and the guy's only got a pair of jacks. But that doesn't matter, because if you're capable of putting a hand down, it means there's lots of losing hands you can put down. It's a very serious point, and do not be worried about passing a winning hand. And that's what stops people passing losing hands, because they're so terrified of passing a winning hand. Yes, you will pass the winning hand. Don't let it bother you, because think of all the losing hands you'll pass, and that'll make you far happier. So that is a big, big point. So I'll take that home with you tonight. If that's the only point you take home tonight, and keep it, it'll be worth a fortune to you.
Well, excellent point there from James. Better than his king-queen point anyway. Anyway, we're going to move on to the cash game, I think, that we were watching earlier. So let's head over there.
Look at that. I've got my motto, and Mark wants to kill my motto. Isn't that terrible? I can't believe it.
No, absolutely not. I would say very good point for a new player starting off. I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a difficult point. But anyway, I think our viewers have probably heard enough of that king-queen debate.
Okay, $51. This means the maximum you can buy him for is $100. Minimum buy-in is $10.
Interesting here. Have you noticed something very interesting here, James? That Benny Pump Snap Hit and Tragic Trevor are all in exactly the same seat positions as they were in the other one.
Oh, right.
So...
that is quite amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, very... So, we've got a 50-cent $1 game. Maximum buy-in for this is $100. You can buy in as for as little as $10. This is a cash game we're watching, which means that you can sit down and get up as you please. And a lot of these players will start to will play many, many hours, James, and a lot of them will sort of do quick sort of kills, or try and get a quick kill in sort of an hour or so. How do you prefer playing? Do you like long sessions or short sessions?
I like long sessions. If I feel great, I just like a long session. When I was in Sweden, once I got in the game, I played to the end if I felt good, and not according to the results. Just I'd play till the time.
Yeah.
And only if I suddenly felt, oh goodness, I don't think I'm playing properly, or I'm frightened of losing this money back, I'm not playing properly with it. If I didn't feel like that, but if I did feel like that, then I'd say, well, hang on, you better stop, because you're not playing proper poker anymore. But as long as everything felt just the same and I was happy to play, or as long as I thought the game was still value. If all of a sudden the game, I think, oh my goodness, that one's gone, he's a star, that one's gone, oh my goodness, I'm left with all superstars, or the rake was too much for short-handed. The rake there was, they capped it at 100 krona, which is about $13, I think we worked out before. Well, short-handed, that's terrible, because they're taking 5% rake. It means the pots aren't too big, so maximum 5% is coming out of all the pots. Now, if the game got down to that, I'd say goodbye to it, because it would be too difficult to beat.
Yeah.
So basically, out there, with that full rake, I'd prefer to have the full table, because then the average size of the pots would be much bigger. So they would go beyond the cap. So
right.
Technically you'd be paying a smaller percentage. So so that's why I'd... so there's another reason I would stop if it suddenly went short-handed in a game where the rake was a bit high.
Yeah. Okay, well, that makes sense.
But generally, I would just say I'm playing till a certain time as long as I feel well. Well, what we got here, golden boy, not golden cards though. What are we going to have? A small blind? He doesn't even want to put his 50 cents in with that one. But he was worried about the under-the-gun limper, who he thought might have a big hand, and he was right. He had ace-queen.
So you're in this position with, instead of ace-5, you've got king-queen, James. Do you raise or do you call?
I check.
You check, okay.
I'm on the big blind.
But then...
yeah,
you're not worried about the under-the-gun limper? You don't want to find out where you are with him?
No, I don't, no.
No, okay.
I'm out of position for the next bit of betting.
I was worried about a situation like that where it might come queen high and he's sitting there with aces or king high, and I'm now going to pay him off.
Yeah, but he could have ace queen like he has got. If I've got king queen, what do I want to be putting more money in for?
This is my point. So you find out beforehand.
No, I wouldn't find out. I don't want to put more money in it.
Okay.
I'm happy to get away from it.
Oh, look at that.
I don't know how on earth he stayed there with it. Oh, he got that 5. Wow.
Well, he's got house he's got now.
Oh, sorry, big ace-5. He flopped 2 players.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
What a sweet result for him.
Okay, we have to go, James.
Oh.
Okay, we'll have to come back to that.
How much would he get?
Well, I don't know. We're running out of time here, James. However, time for a little break, so don't go too far away, because we'll be right back. Now, James, I'm telling you, that King Queen is just no good. Okay, it's just no good doing it that way. Oh, sorry, right, we're back. Anyway, so we were discussing earlier the merits of King Queen, as I hope you enjoyed it. However, if you want to get in contact with the show, let me tell you how to do that. 2 ways you can do it. It is text number 84222 is the number you now call. It's a new number. Text the word poker, plus your message, plus your name, and me and James will answer it. The other way you can do it is by emailing the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. Now, in our Beat the Presenter tournament, we have a special guest presenter playing, don't we?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff, isn't it?
We're revealing all.
I wonder who it could be.
Could be a girl.
Could be. Who knows? You shall find out later. Anyway, for the moment, we have... I'll tell you what we'll do. We left a hand that was quite interesting. It was just the very moment we had to cut out of it. So let's head back, straight back there and see what happens. And then afterwards, we'll do a couple of your emails. Okay, so here we are. So far, we've had a lip under the gun from Smooth Cut. DJ was in the big blind. He's elected to call. Well, in fact, he's just checked, in other words. And we've seen some action backwards and forwards. And as you can see, DJ is loving his hand now because he's now housed up.
Yeah, he flopped the 2 pair, didn't he, Mark?
Yeah, flopped the 2 pair. And, oh, look at that. And he's raised, re-raised, all the money goes in. And Smooth Cut has paid the price. You see, he's been listening to you with a King Queen. He saw Ace Queen and he thought, let me try James's way. And look what happens. He limps in with it. And he gets paid. What do you think about that, James?
I know, incredible.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? I told you, Smooth Cut. You don't listen to James. Don't listen. That King Queen, it's all a load of nonsense. I won't listen to it.
You didn't have King Queen.
No, it was like next best thing, wasn't it? It's even better than King Queen. Look what happens, you see. Anyway, I think it's about time we had 1 or 2 emails. So, should we do those, James?
Yes, have a look at those.
Let's have a go on those. Okay, so this one is from Patrick. Okay, and Patrick is saying, it's Patrick from Sweden. I wonder if he played with you, James.
I maybe did.
Yeah, I wonder if he played with you. Perhaps he did. Anyway, he's saying, hi, I wonder about your thoughts regarding high pocket pairs versus someone hitting trips. Is it possible to avoid losing entire chip stack? Very, very difficult one. If I have low pocket pairs, I almost always call a raise as long as we both have at least 8 times more chips and the player's aggressive, for it seems that if I hit both, are all in before the turn. I know myself how aggressive I am with aces to queens or ace-king suited, ace-queen suited. Example, I have kings. I raise 4 times big blind, get 1 caller. Flop is 5-6 jack. I bet pot size bet. He raises me 3 times my bet. Now, how to play it correctly? I'm thinking ace jack, 5s, 6s or jacks. Or even queens, who wanted first to see the flop with no overcards. Thanks for a great programme. We're getting some real difficult ones here, James, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Shall I... I'll give you my thoughts on it first, and then perhaps James can give you his after that. Well, my thoughts are as follows. First of all, you've got a couple of questions in there. And it is difficult. There's no 2 ways about it. I lost. I played. In fact, let me just cut into saying I was playing in a tournament the other day on Sunday, live tournament, and I had this particular situation. I raised with Ace King. Flop comes King High. The guys hit a set on me, and I lose I double him up, even though I had a lot of chips at the time. So I double him up. However, I could have lost less. And one of the things I tend to see nowadays, and I feel is the better way of playing, is to try and minimise those situations. Because you've got to remember, whilst you have got top pair, top kicker, you still only do have 1 pair. So that's an important point. So, however, you must realise also it is going to be difficult for you not to lose a lot of chips in this situation, because sets are very difficult ones to spot, aren't they, James? When someone gets a set on you, it's difficult to spot, especially if you've hit top pair, top kicker, something along those lines. However, I will say that it is important, and perhaps the way to bet it is that I actually started off the betting by actually checking. And my idea was that I was going to check raise him. So, the one mistake I did make in this is that I did actually do that. However, he did make a suspiciously half pot size bet, which I thought was a bit strange at the time. I thought, that's a bit strange, either very weak or very strong, which is it? And I check raised him. The check raise that I made was too large for me to get away. It's now committed me to the pot, and that was really my the biggest thing that I did. It was a pot limit game, and I committed myself to the pot. So really what I should have done is perhaps about doubled his raise, maybe a little more, 2.5 times his raise, and ask him the question, are you really very strong, or are you actually weak and just trying to pull one off on me? And if he's very strong and he comes back over the top, I'm not saying I would fold in this situation, but there's a chance that I might not lose. I might not double him up. I might only increase his stack by 75%. And if I can just avoid losing a few extra chips in that, it's probably worthwhile. In the end, I actually lost about 5,000. I had about a stack of 10. I lost 5, and he's now doubled up. So, but it is difficult in those situations, James, isn't it? How do you play a kind of situation like that when you've got top pair, top kicker against a set, and you're first to act?
Mark, I can't carry the bluff on any longer. It's me on here playing, okay? I'm going to get back to the game.
All right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do.
Sorry, we were trying to have, we were having a bit of fun with the guys on the chat box there.
You just can't concentrate on both.
I was pretending I was Lindsay.
But you usually play 4 tables at once, James. So you're only playing once. What's going on?
I'm struggling, that's why.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you what we'll do, Patrick. So that you get our full attention from myself and James, I'll reintroduce your question a little later on the show when James is no longer playing. So in the meantime, let's head over to a sit and go. It's a $30 one. It's not the one James is playing in, so let's see how they do. You tried really hard there, James, didn't you? To carry it on. You were trying the straight face.
Yeah, they've just said, laugh out loud, you're so funny, you sly old goat.
Yeah, I agree with the old bit. You're definitely right, folks. He is definitely sly.
Nice one.
Very sly, James.
And someone else said, and I believed you. Oh, you see.
Yeah, there you are. We bluffed him.
We bluffed him.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see that the emails are coming thick and fast.
Mark,
so
we've just had one here, I've got to tell you, and the Observer says, King Queen rules in the raised pot.
Hey, QP, man after my own heart. Yeah. Good player, that QP. I always like his style, his aggressive style. Seems to play a good game whenever I've watched him play. Always seems to do quite well, although he's had 1 or 2 not so good results recently. I've seen him a couple of times, hasn't quite managed to do it. But up to that point, doing very well. And certainly got a lot of creativity to his game, which might hinder you in some respects, but can help you in the later stages of your poker career. So we are joining a sit and go. This is a $30 sit and go, which means that there's going to be a prize pool of $240. First prize is going to be $120. Second prize is going to be $72. And third prize is going to be $48. So nothing for 4th through to 8th. So it is a knockout competition. When you lose your starting stack of 1,000, you are out. So this is a game about accumulating chips and surviving. And that's the great thing about this particular game. It's a paradox, in effect, that makes it very hard to get that balance right. You're always balancing one against the other, not losing your chips, not going out of the tournament and trying to accumulate, which makes it a fascinating game. So we start off, we're in the early stages still. Everyone is pretty much up to the original starting stack. So let's see what happens here. Well, Aces wants to have a look with the 8-10. And Snakey wants to have a look with his King 2. Well, we've got a flush draw for hard ball K10. And interestingly enough, we've got backdoor flush opportunity for River Daz, but that's an acceptable fold. And the reason it's an acceptable fold is for the simple reason that he's got a paired board. He might already be losing, even if he does hit his flush.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think I can repeat that, James.
No, I've got to mention it just very casually. Not all of it. It says, I think it's related to my saying. It says, Viagra rules in the land of the unraised. Carry on.
Okay. Yeah, that was a nice one, Likey. Very nice indeed. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. Okay, won't go there, James. I think that could be a little bit difficult ground, that one.
We've got a bright...
Well, funny enough, Likey, I think that's where James might have got it from. Might have got that saying from. It originally came from the Viagra. Anyway, we better move on. I'm on thin ice here. So we've got A7 in the small blind and Jack 3, King 2, Ace 3, not much there. Hardball might fancy a little look here with his King 9 suited. How's he going to play it? He's just, I'm sure he's going to play. It's just a case of whether he's going to raise or call. He's probably wondering that himself. And I think at this stage, it's probably just worth a little look by calling. 60, 70, 80 is just a little bit too much of your stack. So in order to make it a decent size raise, you're going to have to make it 80 or 90 hardball. And that's, I think, is too much to risk. So I will just limp in that situation. Well, he doesn't decide to limp in. In fact, he would have hit nothing. And so A7 has hit his top pair. He's put out a little bet there. Wants to find out whether aces has got any part of that. And what's he going to do? So Crazy Gum with the Queen 10 hits his top pair. Well, this could be a little bit of trouble for aces. Let's have a look. He's hit second pair with... Crazy Gum is just thinking, well, what could this guy have? He could have a Jack Queen or something like that. Oh, we won't like that. So probably a check and call here from Crazy Gum would be the best option. Just in case he has got Jack Queen, and he's done it right. Aces man probably just check as well, and he's done the right thing. Well done. That's a nice play by Crazy Gum. Dangerous to bet there, just in case he had a bit more than the Queen 10 in that situation, but I thought he played it well. So Cat Attack is going to like his 8s, and I think he will raise here. He'll probably make it 60 or 80. 80 is probably a nice bet here for me. He's going to be the first one in. He's going to get some resistance, though, from Crazy Gum and Aces Man, I dare say. And Jade Bean, he might decide to see if he's getting value for it. Let's have a look. Well, sneaky there by Cat Attack. He's looking to slow play his 8s, hoping to hit a set, and hope he can get paid off. Now, Aces Man is in the big blind, and he... Oh, look at this. We've got set over set. Oh, this is nasty for Crazy. He's going to do his chips, James. He's about to lose his stack, I think, or a big part of it. Now, the only difference is that Cat Attack might slow play this to death, and by doing so, he might not get full value out of it. Now, Crazy Gum thinks, oh, what a flop for me. I love this. He's going to not soon love it, unless another 6 appears. That's really what all he's drawing to now. And Ace Queen is still getting involved. He doesn't know how far behind he is, James, this Ace Queen. Crazy Gum's going to re-raise the out. Ace Queen says, OK, I'm out of here. And Cat Attack is going to call the top set. Only a 6 is going to save him. Doesn't appear. Both hit houses. Unfortunately for Crazy Gum, didn't do a lot wrong there. You hit a set. There's no way of getting out of that, Crazy Gum, I'm afraid. You know, set over set, very, very nasty, very difficult. Nothing you can do. You just have to accept that's poker. No point thinking it to death. A lot of people come in that situation, start thinking, oh, how could I have got away from it? How could I have done something differently? You know, you're right to think that you're winning in that coup, and very unlucky. That's the way. It's the way you just forget about it. Just count yourself as unlucky. So, Crazy Gum is holding on. Fortunately, he had a little bit more than Cat Attack there, so he's still in the game. And ironically, he can actually still go a few blinds, a couple of blinds, without being any desperate. So, if I was in his position, I'd be waiting for a few hands, even if I get down to 70. Now, the only problem is that the blinds are likely to go up before he gets to him round again. So, I think they're due to go up either next hand or the hand after. So, it means the blinds will now be 20-40. So, in fact, he can't actually wait any longer. He's got to make a move before the big blind or on the big blind. How goes it, Lindsay? I mean, James?
It's a battle.
Well, we've got all sorts of interesting developments here. We've got up and down straight draw for SS Snakey with the middle pair. We've got Riverdaz middle pair and an inside straight draw with top kicker. And aces with us. Oh, look at that. He's what's he got here? He's hit his straight. 9-10 Jack Queen King. Makes a straight. And Riverdaz is no longer sure. He's thinking, I'm only got to have a king in his hand and he's beating me. And good fold there by Riverdaz. Very good fold indeed. Well done. Well spotted. Spotted that he's drawing very thin and gave it up. Ace King is raising it up, and that's the right move for me. He's in the cut-off position. He wants to make anyone pay for a draw or pay for a worse hand, and he's doing the right thing. Needs to follow it up, though. I think a bet of about 180, 200 will probably be about right here. Needs to show some strength behind his betting. Can't have weak bets. Oh, he decides to check as well. And lucky for him, he's now hit his ace. Because the problem is that hardball will be in his right mind. If an ace didn't appear, in fact, if any card appeared, he could have won that hand just by betting out, making a strong bet himself. So hardball was a bit unfortunate there, and I think Mr. Perfect was a little bit fortunate. I think he should have followed through with a continuation bet. Because, you know, you haven't got good chance of an ace or a king coming on that turn card, so I think it would have been the right move, the better move over the long run. Especially as you know, by putting in a bet of 200, hardball can't call you without a better hand than you. Because the fact that his 200 doesn't mean so much to you, but it means a hell of a lot to him. So he can't be doing anything fancy. You'd have to have a strong hand. So it puts you in perspective. So it means you'll get away with a steal a lot more often. So a good time to do it is to play it against the smaller stacks like that, because you can still, you know, the only time they can come back at you is when they have got something. So we've got nothing here for anyone, although Ace-10 should have put a bet out there. With a paired board like that, no one betting the Queen, then there's a good chance that Ace-10 is going to be in the lead. And rather than seeing a river card and letting two people in with a free shot at hitting something, I think Riverdance was in his right mind to have a little bet there and squeeze anyone out. Motley show of hands here. Nothing really much going on at the moment. 5-6 suited might decide to have a little look for 40. Don't blame him. He's got a lot of chips. And he does. He has a little look. He's in a good position on the table. Don't blame him with that. And they're all having a little look. Mr. Perfect. We've seen him not to be too much of an aggressive player. Well, that's a pretty good flop for anyone who wants to bet, really. That's saying, bet me, bet me. You would have thought that someone out of that group would have an ace, but the fact that there's two aces out there means it's less likely. Less likely that Hardball's got one, because he's unlikely to have just called with it. So, well, Cat Attack, I'm surprised. He's getting the green light to have a shot at this. I mean, he doesn't even bet very much. He can put out a bet of 80. You know, especially he's got position there, but he doesn't want to use it. And aces are saying, you know what? Oh, look at that. That's a strong play by Hardball. He's making a move of his there. And how much more is it to him? It's another 260. So I don't think you can call aces, really. So that's a very strong play there by Hardball. Very strong indeed. Dangerous, though. Very dangerous. Oh, he's hit it. He's called. He's made the right play, aces. He's made a fantastic call. And Hardball, is it a miracle? Well, that's the time to semi-bluff, isn't it? Gosh. Unlucky aces. That was a brave call there. Anything I would have said, it would have been good for someone to have bet out there. You were in a very difficult position there, Ace. I don't think you could have bet out there, but I think one of the other two guys, Hardball or Cat Attack, had a chance to actually bet out on that flop, especially Cat Attack, but Hardball probably less of a chance for him because he was so short stacked, so a bluff would have cost him a lot of chips, but certainly Cat Attack had a good chance to bluff at that and take it down. And instead, we have aces who made a right call, but difficult one. I don't think I could have called that with just a 4 there. That looked to me like he'd hit an ace and then I was drawing dead. So I probably would have folded that, especially as such a big, significant part of my chips. The fact that I was in the lead There's neither here nor there. So, Mr. Perfect with a 5-6 suited. What's he going to do? A little limp here for him? I think it's worthy. No, he doesn't want to. That's very tight. We've seen him play a very tight game, as has River does, really. It's quite a tight table, this one we're watching. Which is funny, isn't it? Because I used to advocate playing these tight, although now having experienced how loose, how fast they are, I'm not so sure that's a great way to play on these. Yeah, especially when everyone is so tight. That's the problem, you see. When everyone is following through the same thing. And it makes that tactic very hard to follow. Of course, what you're relying on, when generally when I'm playing these sit and goes, I'm playing in a tight game. I'm playing in a game where I'm the tight player and everyone else is playing sort of regular poker, for want of a better word. So it means that I can just watch them knock each other out and eventually I'll cash in by making moves later on. However, when everyone's got the same tactic, your efforts are now negated, and it makes it very difficult to play that kind of style, which means you need to adapt. And that's the thing about poker. You've got to realise that you've got to adapt all the way through. You've got to watch what's going on around you. And if you're starting to see that all these players are playing tight as well, then guess what? You've just now lost your edge. Part of your edge of playing that style is the fact that 3 or 4 players knock themselves out. What was that for?
Sorry, I was a recommendation from one of the...
I'll thump you back. He's thumping me. What are you telling him to hit me for? It's not very nice, is it?
Tragic Trev said, give you a thump. He said, make me feel better.
Right, I'm going to watch that Tragic Trev now. We'll give him some critical comments earlier. We're watching. You behave yourself. Just because you don't like my chat about the King Queen, no reason to hit me. Tragic Trev is asking us about the 7878 picture. Have you seen the 7878?
Yeah, very funny.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? That was a good picture.
It was brilliant.
Yeah. So you've been challenged, James. So back to the sit and go that we're watching. Blinds have now gone up. They're now 40-80. And we can see Cat Attack making a move with the ace-10. He's on the button and a good place to make a move. Means he's last to act if they do decide to call him. And they do decide to call him. Well, that's a good flop for ace-10. He's only worried about one card, the queen. And he knows that hardball can't have this. He must raise him here. And he's got to raise regardless of, well, he's selected a call. This opens up bluffing opportunity for hardball. And, well, if hardball decided to put a proper bet out there on the turn, I don't think Cat Attack can call. But he's elected to not do that. And he'll probably now call him down, I think, for the... Oh, he's folded. I don't understand it. He's calling. I thought he was calling just to get him to bluff a bit more, but he wasn't. He was actually calling to try and hit his ace or 10. So, that's a surprising play there by Cat Attack, especially as there's such a small bet on the end as well. Yeah, no, I think the thing where you went wrong there, Cat Attack, if I'm honest with you, is the fact that you had the lead in the betting. Hardball was now trying to take that from you. Now, why would he do that? Why would he do that? You know, the likelihood is that you've got the lead in the betting. You're going to come out betting on the flop. So if he has got a hand, why not just check raise you? That would be my preferred play. So that didn't ring true there. The story wasn't. So the story being told by Hardball wasn't really one that you could believe. Oh, look at that. Curtains. Curtains for Ace Man, because he's hit a flush, but SS Snakey has hit the house. That 2 of clubs making the house for him. So lucky that was the club that came down.
2 big hands.
Yeah,
Flush
very unfortunate.
House.
And Aces goes out. He is now our 7th place finisher. We've got 6 players left, and Mr. Perfect will like this. Very tight table, this, James. Very tight.
Right.
Generally speaking, they haven't... oh, look, he's saying, OK, look, well, I'm just happy to win the 240. In fact, more than 240, wasn't it? Because we've had a little mini raise there from hardball.
Yeah, 280 he gets, doesn't he?
Yeah, so
40 in the
nice
middle.
bet there from Mr. Perfect.
That was a chirpy under the gun raise from the King Jack.
Yeah, that was about 15% of his stack there that he was going to add to. So nice little bet there by Mr. Perfect. If he happens to walk into a monster, then guess what? Just bad luck. You know, you can't play perfect poker in these sit and goes. They are hard and fast, and sometimes you do have to take risks at some point. And doing it with Ace King in that situation, for me, was an acceptable risk, I think.
He liked the extra money he was getting in the pot.
Yeah. If he happens to walk into a big, massive, you know, a big hand, then it's just bad luck.
The thing is, the antes are going up now anyway, so that's a problem. It's 240 a round, isn't it? So it's 80 and 160.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've gone up again. That's a problem. 163.20. So if you weren't putting your chips in before, you're going to be putting them in now, because there's no room for mucking around now. It's committed or not committed when the blinds are this big.
So it'll be interesting to see what was, if you had any key hands in that situation, James. Yeah, and how you played those key hands. That'll be very interesting to watch.
It will be.
James is keeping tight-lipped. So,
well, I hope you've been concentrating on your commentator, not peeping across to the game, Mark. Have you?
Oh, I wouldn't do that, James. You know me.
No, that's all right. I was going to say. I mean, the management be severely disappointed in you.
Yeah, well, we've got to do our bit. I haven't played one of these beat the presenter things for ages. Everyone else is they've played less. I think.
Yeah, we all lied to you.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So we've got Jay Beam, who's making a move with the Ace-7, gets called by the Queen-10. He's not a million miles behind with the Queen-10, but he is now. He's very far behind now. And doesn't hit, which means Jay Beam will double through, and Hardball will take a big knock to his chip stack. So, a raise there by Mr. Perfect. Check raised him. And, well, he thinks he was doing that with the, well, dangerous play by Mr. Perfect, who was playing fairly tight earlier, but he seems to have found another gear now. And SS Snakey relinquishing the best hand at the time. Wasn't a very good hand, mind you, but it was the best hand at that moment in time.
Ace King Jack. Mr. Perfect has got a Jack. Cat Attack presses the all-in button with his Ace-8.
Well, down to 4, bubble time. They're all very evenly stacked. Look at that, James. They're almost dead on the same chips, apart from Snakey, who's just put in a small blind, but he was prior to this big blind. They're all on 2,000 chips. Incredible. Well, Jay Bean will take that one down. Now, interesting times here because we've got similar chip stacks and on the bubble. So next person to go out won't actually get any money. Just a reminder of those prizes, some decent prizes here. $48 will go to third place, $72 to second, and $120 to first. So no one wants to go out at this point and get nothing.
Look at this. Cat Attack, he's got quite a good hand here.
Yeah.
He's umming and ahhing. He's got 320 in the middle, but he's looking and he says, oh, yes,
he's
okay,
got a call.
I've got a call.
Oh, he's unlucky. He's very unlucky, Cat Attack. Yeah, is it 2 pennies and 9 and 9 only? No. Well, you've made the right call there, Cat Attack. He could have been doing that with anything on the button. For me, it was a no-brainer. It was an instant call.
And as it happens, he was a good favourite, the pair of nines against the ace-5. He was a 73% favourite, so he was well the right side of it.
Yeah, it was a big favourite.
But I could see his dilemma. He was worried about being up against a higher pair, but this is a fast game, and the blinds are so big. If this was a lot more play, and a tournament with a lot more play, the pair of nines really has every justification, and probably even could be putting it down, because someone could have waited and had a decent hand. They could have had they could have either had ace-king suited or a pair, and in which case that is no bargain for the pair of nines, because he's either a small favourite or a big underdog. But in a sit-and-go with a fast structure...
No, he's got to call,
Yeah, that's the problem. And that's a difference. You've got to realise these are two different events.
The only time I might not in that situation, James, is if I've got a pair of sixes or lower.
Right, yes.
Sevens or higher,
because now... The lower you go, the more likely they've got two overcards, even with substandard hands. Even their ace-7, they've got two overcards now. That's a problem.
What do you think? Where is your cut-off?
I think I'd probably go around about where you are there. I think once you get down there, I think the guy could well have... certainly the fives I would dump, because I'll tell you what, I'm a player generally who likes my lowest kicker to be probably about a 6.
Yeah.
Generally. Because I like to be able to have overcards against certain of the pairs anyways.
Yeah. So you're increasing your odds of doing that.
So, I would somewhere around about where you are.
About
6, same area.
Oh, we agree on something.
We agree on a lot, really. we're talking about, we're discussing fine points.
Yeah. Well, it's got up to heads up now, James. So, interesting too. We've lost... SS Snakey there, so he went out in third. So Snakey picks up $48 for his efforts. Well done, Snakey. And battle between these two. They're just shoving it all in. And it's going to be Jay Bean, who's taken a massive lead now. He's now got
goodness me, this will be a comeback for Mr. Perfect now.
He'd have to be, wouldn't it?
And he's got to come against a 10 as well. He's got to find a king.
Only a king, and only a king is going to be the one.
Oh,
Will
my
he do
goodness.
No.
How it changed suddenly from nowhere. Mr. Beam flashes across the winning line.
Yeah, well done, Bean. Very well played, and well done to all those guys that played out there. So Mr. Perfect played a good game as well.
He did,
They were very tight, and then all of a sudden opened up.
Well, which is generally, I think, a good style myself. Yeah. So changing gears.
Yeah, excellent stuff. We'll be watching Beat the Presenter a little later in the evening, just a few minutes past the stroke of midnight. It's when James comes alive, just past midnight, isn't it, James? Sort of opened up, don't you? That's when you put on your black cloak and sort of head out the front door and see what's going on.
That's right.
Let's head over to our multi-table tourney. I can just see it now, sort of...
I think Mark's on dangerous ground here with this sort of like the long hair at the back here. I can imagine him with the cloak on, not me. I don't know.
Oh, look. King, Queen, James.
Yes.
So blinds are...
200, 400. And King, Queen takes that down. King Jack under the gun.
Okay, I'll give you some updates. This started off with 114 players. There are now 22 players remaining. Our big chip leader has 16,000, a little over in fact, and our lowest stack has a little under 2.5. So even he's got a bit of play. Not huge, but he's got a bit of play, 6 times the big blind.
22 players?
22 players left, yeah.
Okay, the average is 7,700.
Okay.
So that's what we can have a look at.
Looking pretty good.
And a nice hand on the button there for Big Ad. He's got Ace King suited. Cam King, Queen Jack. Whoa, look at this. He's smashed it all in there. He's been called by the Ace King. And, oh, he's hit the Jack. What a result for Can King there. And
yeah, it was a nice result. He had the flush draw as well there, didn't he, on the end?
lucky for Big Ad there, and I think Big Ad's going to have to make a move now with his ace-jack suited. Bit of extra money in the middle there because someone's limped under the gun. Yes, he's pushed it in quite correctly. And Jack is there. Oh my goodness, poor old Ad. I think, oh, he's got a chance for a flush. Oh, he gets the Jack, and that's no good because Jack has hit the Queen and before.
Yeah.
So in two hands there, Big Ad, favourite both times pre-flop. He had ace-king suited against queen-jack. He has ace-jack suited against queen-jack, where he's really dominating him there. That's a fantastic situation, and he lost both of them. Just shows you. It's a difficult game. You've got to...
Ace-jack rules in the land of the unraised pots.
You can't make up these now. I'm not going to allow you to have a motto, Mark.
I want a shield too, though.
No, I'll get you a shield.
So just as a reminder for you guys that every Sunday we're going to be doing another week of the Poker Bowl qualifier. We've had week one last Sunday, I believe. This Sunday, or was it week two? No, 1 week, yeah. The first one was just last Sunday. So that was week one. We've got 5 weeks of them. So they're $10 rebuy qualifiers. So it should be pretty exciting. It's going to be week 6 will actually hold a semi-final, James. And the final will actually be filmed in the Poker Bowl studio.
I mean, that sounds brilliant, isn't it? I mean, what a great chance for people there to get themselves playing poker on telly.
Yeah, so
excellent.
Yeah, the great thing about it is that we'll be watching them and commentating. So it'll be filmed. It'll be actually watched here on Poker Night Live and commentated on. So that'll be great.
We'll be living through the thrills and spills of the satellites. Basically, we'll have followed them all the way to the final.
Yeah, it should be very exciting anyway.
You can find all about it though on the forum, can't you? So.
Yeah, it's going to be great fun, I'm sure. And if you want to know more about it, there's lots of information on our website and on the forum. Just click on that, www.pokernightlive.co.uk, and there'll be lots of information there.
Here we go. Ace King there.
So I think it's time that we have a little look at another table. Shall we do that, James?
Takes it down, no contest.
Let's
let's have a look at
Let's go through the oblong window. Oh, they're all oblong. Right, here we go. And we've got here our chip leader, who's Spyro 2, who's looking very pretty there with the 21,000. He's 50 times a big blind there, James, a little over.
Yeah.
So he's looking pretty good.
I'll tell you what, there's Johan Harren there. I haven't seen him for a while.
He was playing earlier and won something, wasn't he? Was it this game or was it the cash game? Or
no, I mean, since I've been on the show recently, I haven't seen him at all for a while.
That's because you've been sort of round...
gallivanting.
You probably saw him in Sweden. You didn't realise
sounds like
it
it should do, yeah.
So, can you speak the lingo, James?
50-50 means 50-50.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Because they used to announce it for pot limit 50-50.
So it was pot limit you were playing, was
Yeah.
it, in the cash game?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't have a no limit cash
Really?
game.
Didn't have a no limit?
Not cash
That's
game,
unusual.
no. I don't know. I think it's...
When I was playing in Estonia, the game was no limit. They did have pot limit as well, but the game was no limit.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
I'm sure it was. I can't say 100%. But
yeah, in Vegas they have no limit now. But I mean, pot limit is fine. I mean, pot limit's great. I think pot limit's... I like pot limit anyway. I think it's... in a live cash game, I suppose I'm used to playing a pot limit, which is a normal game in England for a hold'em
So what was
game.
your longest session you had?
Ooh.
Now, I'm talking about the poker here, of course.
Yes.
Not those normal 5-minute spells you have.
I'm sure I had a... Yeah, probably... Actually, I think I probably did... let's get this right. So, yeah, about maybe 11 hours.
Okay. I did...
12, maybe, I'm not sure.
I did 11 or 12 hours stint in Los Angeles.
I enjoyed it. I mean, the game was good anyway. It was good fun. There was a good atmosphere. There's quite a bit of... yeah, it was a good atmosphere at the table. And it was just interesting seeing a lot of different players. And I quite like just coming across new players and sort of busy building up information about them as you go along. I mean, I quite enjoyed that as well. Also seeing these different styles. because there were quite a few different styles. There were some very aggressive plays, as you'd expect from some of the Swedish players.
Yeah. But a lot of them are very tight as well, which is really surprising. Everyone thinks that they're really aggressive, but there's a lot of extremely tight players.
Some very tight ones.
They make you look like loose as a goose.
Exactly, yeah. But I was pretty solid in that cash game, and I think it was the way to play it, because I didn't know the players particularly. So therefore, when I was in the pot, I wanted to know where I was.
Sure. I think that makes sense, especially starting off that way anyway.
But however, every now and again, of course, I was able to.
So would you say that you play? Because I've seen you once or twice play on the net.
Yeah. And you was quite surprised because you think, wow, this is quite different.
You're a little more aggressive than what I expected.
I'm a lot more aggressive.
You're a lot more aggressive, yeah. Would you say that you play in a similar fashion when you're live as well? Or is you more aggressive on the net?
It depends. To me, it just depends purely what the nature of the game is. If I'm on a game and the game is a little bit passive, then I will become more aggressive, and I am going to be likely to be a raiser anyway. So I will enter more pots by raisers than probably most people, or I'll probably be the most prolific raiser coming into pots, because I like to come in with a raise generally.
You're talking about on the net or live or both?
Well, probably both, yeah.
Okay.
Or if I have any spell of limping, sometimes it can be limp and pass, but waiting just to go limp and re-raise.
Yeah.
So therefore, that will be happening as well. So basically, my game is still quite a lot of aggression. When I'm playing a cash game, I want to find a way to get all my money in the pot when I'm favourite. That is my aim. So I'm very happy just to get all my money in that pot when I'm favourite in a cash game. Because I don't just have one life. It's not a tournament where my tournament life is at risk. I've got more money in my pocket. I can buy in again. So I want to get my money in the pot when I'm favourite. Good luck. And if you beat me, well done.
Good point.
So, and that's
the purpose of the cash game is get your money in when you're ahead.
Yeah.
Can't do any more than that.
Yeah.
If you can do that all the time, you'll come out a winner.
Give the opponent the wrong odds. If I'm giving them the wrong odds, good luck. If he hits it and makes it, well done. Just try it again next time, though. So that's my sort of one aim there when I'm playing. So therefore, I want to play in a game where I'm comfortable to be able to commit my chips and then be able to rebuy again. It's no good playing with your sort of life savings because you're not going to play properly.
No.
You're going to be waiting for too fine a situation before you want to risk your money. Well, that's no good.
No, you've got to play unscared.
Yeah, so therefore...
Just have a look at this, James. We've got a very interesting hand here. We've got a pair of tens in a small blind, pair of, ace-king in the big blind, and a pair of sixes under the gun. So, strong play there by Gol. I don't think he can call Spyro. He doesn't. And Domain is now wondering...
He's got him covered in chips, that's why. He says, I've got chips left.
And he also slow-played it, basically, I think. He was a little bit concerned about what Spyro had, possibly, but I think he was waiting for that. So far so good.
He's pinged the 10.
Doesn't want to hit a queen.
Goodness gracious,
Quads.
4 tens.
Quads, that's a nice hand to finish up on.
Marvellous.
Okay, so it's going to take a break from that because we've got emails streaming through. So, James, are you ready? This is going to be hard and fast.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, this is from Patrick in Sweden. So thanks for your patience. This is the one we had earlier. Thanks for your patience, Patrick. He's saying, I wonder about your thoughts regarding high pocket pairs.
Okay.
Versus someone hitting trips. Is it possible to avoid losing your entire chip stack? If I have a low pocket pairs, I almost always call a raise as long as both have at least 8 times more chips and the player is aggressive. For it seems that if I hit, both are all in before the turn. I know how aggressive I am myself, especially with hands like aces to queens, ace-king suited, ace-queen suited. So, example, I have kings. I raise 4 times the big blind and get 1 caller. Flop is 5-6 jack. I bet the pot. He raises me 3 times my bet. Now, how to play it correctly? Well, I'm thinking he's either got ace-jack, top pair, top kicker. He's either got set of 5s, set of 6s.
Sorry, the flop was what, did you say?
5-6 jack.
Oh, 5-6 jack, sorry. Yeah. Okay, yep.
So he's basically saying he raises 3 times the big blind. So he's thinking his opponent either has ace-jack, pair of 5s, which makes a set of 5s, set of 6s, set of jacks, or perhaps even pair of queens. How can he... so basically, the pair of queens is in there because he was hoping not to see any overcards.
Yeah.
So...
well, to start with, I don't fully agree. I don't actually think that the ace-jack is going to be necessary doing the re-raise there. because I don't believe that he likes the flop, but he's already said this guy's just done the 4 times a big blind. If he's now bet the pot into that flop, he quite likes it anyway.
Is the ace-jack, if someone was to have ace-jack in that situation, is it right there for them to call?
Well, if he's going to call the raise, yes, what was he looking for?
Or should he be raising?
Well, should he be calling with ace-jack? Because this is one of the danger hands. And this is the problem with ace-jack, is because you don't always know where you are. And that's what I highlighted as a danger hand before. So I don't think, and it's like Slansky doesn't think, that ace-jack is a great hand to call raises with. Because what do you want to hit? You don't want to hit your ace because you're vulnerable to the higher kickers. You hit your jack, you're vulnerable to the overpairs.
Yeah. But the problem with this is, James, is that a lot of players out there on the net will actually play ace-jack.
Well, of course they will, but it doesn't mean to say they're right.
No, so how do you deal with it when they do?
But what I'm saying is, so therefore, I don't think that the ace-jack has got a monster to be re-raising the guy who's bet the pot with. If I'm sitting there with ace-jack, I'm thinking, well, I hope it's winning, but I don't really... I could well be against the overpair.
But do you feel that the majority of the players out there will actually raise with the ace-jack in that situation?
I don't think they'll re-raise, no.
You don't think they'll re-raise?
No.
Okay.
No. So, well, do you think they will? I don't...
Some will, some won't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a massive.
It depends on the players.
I think they've got position. They'll probably just.
They'll just flat call.
I think so. Yeah. So I would take that one out the equation.
Okay.
Is it unsuited, the flop?
It doesn't say.
Okay. If it's unsuited, I don't actually think now it's not necessary that it's a trips, because I think the trips often wait to re-raise on the turn rather than the flop. In fact, more times will re-raise on the turn rather than the flop. So in a way, I'm less certain that it's going to be the trips. So now it might think if he's a Lucius player, now it depends what I think the player's like. If he's a loose player, I think maybe he is doing it with ace-jack. But as I said, I'm already wary. I mean, if the guy now wants to... I've shown strength, and I've shown nothing but strength, and he's bet pot size, so I've shown, like, your maximum strength here. I've got to be worried the guy's come over the top of me. Yeah. Anyway, if I do... Now I want to just try and... If I've got money left, I want to just try and limit the amount of money in this pot, because all I've got is one pair at the end of the day. Anyway, so what's the next bit?
That was it, really. So you want to know how to play that situation?
It's very much against the player. There's certain players I could put that hand down to once they've re-raised me. If they know, it's basically the question is this: what do they think of me as a player? Do they think I'm a very solid player? Yes, they do. Well, what have I done? I've gone 4 times the big blind to start with. I've then followed up with a maximum bet. I have got a hand. I'm shouting it out from the top of the rooftops. I've got a big hand. If he now wants to re-raise me, and he knows who I am, I could probably put it down.
Yeah. I've got to say, I think you're 100% correct. I think the way to look at it is it's very unlikely to be ace-jack. This could either be queens or aces or a set. I don't think there's anything else it can be. Now, if you happen to be unlucky that you're throwing the hand away to a pair of queens, then that's just bad luck, you know. But you have to sometimes throw the hand away. I think in a majority of cases, you're up against aces. You might be up against, don't forget, there's still possibility, you could be up against a pair of kings as well. But of course, he's either hit a set, which is more than likely what it is, because you've made a very strong play. I like the bet, the pot size bet. You've made it a pot size bet. You really ask a big question. If he can still come over the top of you by making it 3 times, you know he's very unlikely to be doing this with ace-jack. And on the odd occasion that you throw it away to an ace-jack, then I think in the long run, you'll be making more money doing it that way than... Right.
My little thing there is that I actually tend to now slightly not bet fully the pot size. I bet, say, 3/4 of pot size in this case, where I think this type of flop, especially if I've got more money left. Now it's possible that I can now just slow down the action a bit. I can bet, and now, supposing the situation where he's got a strong hand and he just calls me, I can now slow down the action now because I can say, okay, I can check next time. Check and call. And I can now play it out check and call. And if the guy's got a massive hand now, he'll probably try and keep me in there because I've checked, he thinks I'm weak. And now he says, how can I get money off him? So now he tries to bet small amounts to get value bets. I've now controlled the size of the pot and I will lose less. I'm going to lose because I've run into the train crash against trips, but I'll lose less.
Yeah. Okay, well, excellent one from Patrick in Sweden. Thanks very much for that, Patrick. Hope that helps a little bit. We're going to have more emails, a lot more poker right after this break. Welcome back to Poker Night Live with myself, Mark Prince Charles Banin, and James King Queen Browning. So, earlier we were talking about the merits of King Queen, and we've got lots more emails to go through as well. However, let me just give you a quick run through how you can contact myself or James if you'd like to pose us any thoughts, any questions to us. There's two ways you can do that. First way is by texting the word poker to 84222. That's our new number. And don't forget to put your message after that and your name, and me and James will address it accordingly. Next one is email the show, poker@pokernightlive.co.uk. And same format, don't forget to put your name on the bottom. And you can also have your say. 0906 200 70 80. Don't forget to leave your messages or questions, and you'll hear it live on air, and me and James will answer your questions appropriately. I'll give you a little quick reminder of we have the Poker Bowl finals, should I say, or qualifiers, every Sunday at 10 o'clock. The first one was last Sunday. They're over a 5-week period. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Week 6 is going to be the semi-final, and the final will actually be played live on the Poker Night Live studio. So that should be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm quite looking forward to that. I might even have a little go myself under one of my pseudo names, we shall see. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that should be good stuff.
Big Bertha.
So time for Lindsay's your tournament.
Yes,
James.
that's right.
Yeah, let's see how Lindsay played out.
There's me, Lindsay Horn. Now, to start with, I was actually having a bit of a fun with the guys in the girls in the tournament, and was really masquerading as Lindsay and declaring that I was playing from home.
You're a crafty devil, you, James.
And did keep this charade going for a while. Now, I'm not quite sure. I might have missed a couple of hands when I was doing this, because I was trying to not look at the screen when we were in vision.
You're very crafty, Jamesy. Very crafty.
And later on the chat box, some people say, "Oh gosh, you actually fooled me." So it's quite fun.
Yeah. So it didn't quite work.
Well, in the end, you said you came up with like the most complicated question I'd ever heard, and I had to sort of
start paying attention. Yeah. So I'm going to let you do most of your commentating here, James. You can tell us about what was going on in your mind during these plays. Well, we've got tons and tons of emails to go through here, James. So during the course of this, I might actually hit one or two of them.
Right, good ace king is raised up here, suited, Lupreville. And Rockin' Robin's got ace queen. Jack 8-4, so Silsden there, pair of sixes. What's the ace king going to do? Against two opponents is a problem. Puts in a bet of 60. What does Silsden think? Calls. And look at that, a 5 has come, which has given Silsden a middle pin straight draw. And what does Lupreville think? He put in that little bet, so didn't really... Oh, he's popped in a little bet now. I think he really thinks he's behind and just hoping to click an ace or a king and keep Silsden quiet. Is it going to work? What does Silsden think? I think he should quite like that 5 there. If he called to start with, he must have enjoyed the 5. It was unlikely to have helped Lupreville, but it looks like he might be going to surrender. And he does. And the question we've got to ask there is, why did he call the 60 if then when a 5 came, he then passed for another 60, which with a pair of sixes, the 5 shouldn't be a card which would be worrying him. So that's a little bit which doesn't quite, it defies logic to me there, Mark.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense, that one.
No. So either you don't call at all to start with, or if you do call, the 5 isn't the card which should be putting him off.
Yeah. Well, this happens quite a lot, doesn't it, James? I mean, I was watching a final table of the World Series today from 2004, I think it was. And the guy plays Queen 7 from the small blind. The flop comes Queen high. There's 3 other players in the pot. He checks. I'm thinking, OK, he's checking to check raise anyone. Anyway, it comes out. There's 1 bet, 1 call, small bet. It was limit, I think. 1 bet, 1 call, and he folds. What do you play Queen 7 for if you're not going to call when he hits Queen high?
And that's it. That's a problem. You know, basically, you can't just think about that one thing. Shall I call? Shall I bet? Say yes, but what am I going to do next? And what's going to do when they're going to bet next time? You're going to look further ahead because the story is an ongoing story.
But this was a good player.
Yes,
this
but
was
I'm just
Jan
saying,
Savage, you know.
Right, but I'm just saying, but they've still got to think ahead. You've got to think, and then what happens next? We can't just look at the one level in poker. We can't just say, is this a call or a fold here? Say, yes, if I call here, what do I do next? And that's what we've got to try and look ahead.
Yeah.
Look for the story ahead. It's not just on one level. Okay, Lindsay's got Jack 5 in the big blind here. Silsden just limps. Looperville. I don't want to get busy at this stage. Queen, King, King. I just check it. Silsden has got position on me. Could have put in a bet that I'd have passed, but he checks. Again, a club comes now. I haven't got a club. I've got... and Silsden has an opportunity. If he bet, I would have passed. Now I've hit my jack. Now I'm not going to bet there now because if I'm called, I'm only going to be in trouble, or someone could raise me and represent strength. I'd have to put it down. So I check and I'll call a small bet. So all I'm going to do is check and call there. I'm not going to bet.
You didn't want to value bet it?
No, because I don't want to bet and give someone the option to raise me. I can't call it then. The flop's too dangerous, possible flush, possible trips, and they could have been lurking with a big hand.
The thing is, you might have got someone to call you with an ace in that situation.
I don't think so.
Because the board looked like...
the board was horrific. It was three there was a flush.
He was only playing against a small blind.
No, it wasn't small blind. He called.
No, you were in the small blind, weren't you? Or a big blind. You were in the blind,
big blind. He called, though. No, the board was possible trips, possible... You know, I think that's a right play. In the end, I've just won that money without any risk. So
I've got to say to you, James, I don't agree again.
All right.
I think a value bet there might have been appropriate. If you'd put the guy on an ace, which I thought when you were playing it and I was watching, I actually put the guy on an ace. I thought there's this guy checking it like he has done. Must be on an ace.
I think if you bet there, you're asking to someone to raise you. You can't call a re-raise. And also, I don't think the guy calls with an ace. I think the flop's too dangerous.
Yeah, perhaps not. Might not call with a race. That's
I don't think
point.
so.
If you don't think you're going to get a call off the guy, there's no point in betting.
Absolutely. No, because then you're opening the door just to lose the pot for nothing.
So this is look at this. Look at these hands here, James. We've got an up and down straight draw. We've got the Kings has thrown it away, has he?
Yeah.
Yeah. The best hand threw it away.
That's quite amazing.
That is unbelievable.
He was worried by the.
What was he worried about? He's worried the guy's got a 9?
Yep. There we go. We had the Kings on the flop.
No, I mean, there's times to play Kings in a certain way, but I don't think... if there was Queen 9, that's different a little bit. There's a bit more chance that the guy's got a Queen. But Queen 9?
Yeah, but what was the pre-flop action? There wasn't any, so he's just decided to get away from it.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all.
No. Okay.
Well, okay.
But you can't just be looking at the cards to see what they are, though, to make your decision. You know, you've got to... not be aware of what the cards are. I mean, he's decided he's in an unraised pot there, isn't he? He just doesn't know where he is, I suppose. I mean, if you don't know where you are, I mean, it looks strange here, that's for sure. But
yeah, you wouldn't have thrown that away, would you?
I'll tell you what. I'd just like to see. In fact, I'd like to have seen just how actually that betting went there. I just was looking at something else. I didn't quite see how the betting went. I would presume it was just unraised for the flop. If it
look, the 9 has hit now. And
got a flush draw for the ace king.
He's still got the flush draw. Will he hit?
And of course, his ace is no good for him.
No, a 10 will split the pot.
Because his ace, of course, will be matched by the guy who's already got a pair.
So, he's drawing against a club.
Where he might think he's got 6 overcards with his 6 cards with his overcards. He hasn't, because the ace is counterfeited by Silsden's ace.
Oh, split pot. Okay, so that one's been
7, 8, 9, 10 jack. Rockin' Robbie's very happy with that.
Yeah, he was about to go out, wasn't he? Unless they had hit a bit of a hand. Still had quite a few outs there, but not quite as many, like you said, as he thought. So, got an email here from Ram Chip. Just going to try and do some of these emails. We've got tons of emails coming through. Keep them rolling, guys. You know the number, you know the email address. Keep them coming. Got one from Ram Chip here, James. This one is saying, tonight I played the Poker Night Live tournament. Could you please mention that I was using my son's account, Dino_UK, instead of my usual handle, which is obviously Ram Chip. Since changing my game a couple of months ago, I find that I'm getting to final tables and winning multi-table tourneys regularly. I've now reached 12 final tables in 10 days.
Just one sec, we've got a nut flush here for Rock Rob. And
he's got nothing's
going to happen here.
Yeah,
no, he's just dwelling up. Yeah, carry on.
He's basically saying, I've now reached 12 final tables in 10 days.
Oh, we have got something. He's bet into it. Look at this.
Yeah, but he'll put it down to a re-race, sure. Unless he's just going to flat call.
He just flat called. Yes, that's good. He realised he's going
to get no
He can't believe his luck here that he had something to bet, but he didn't. No, he won't get paid now because
no,
he's got
nothing to pay, is there?
He
So I've now reached 12 final tables in 10 days, winning 5, and have qualified for the Poker Bowl final.
Excellent.
So thanks for all your help and advice in the past 12 months. So be interesting to hear, if you want to divulge that. You might not want to, Ram Chip, and I'll understand if you don't. But it might be interesting to hear your thoughts on what kind of areas of game you're weak in and how you actually changed your game. If some of that stuff you might not want to divulge, I understand. So, but if you can just give us a bit of an idea of where you're going, where you felt you were sort of weak in or going wrong in, that would be good to hear from you. But well done on that Poker Bowl final.
Right.
That's going to be excellent. I look forward to seeing
Got a
it.
limper here. So Solsu's limped in. I've got Ace King. I decided to make it 4 times the big blind. I get a caller from Silsden, 10-5. And from K Hodge. And the trouble is here, I'm now against 3 people. So for me, this is no place for a continuation bet. It's not a great flop for me, 8-5-2. I don't want to continue. And if we look there, we'll see there's an up and down straight for K Hodge, 5-6-7-8. There's a pair for Silsden. And it's a good job I didn't do a continuation bet because I could have been in big trouble.
Would you have got called?
Well, yeah, up and down straight and a pair. Yeah, I mean,
well, the bottom or middle pair with a pair of 5s.
Well, you can't. If you advise people to make a continuation bet against 3 people, that would be ridiculous. You mustn't. That's definitely. You've got to be aware. There's just you've made your raise. You've got 3 people there. You've missed the flop altogether, and it's not the place to try. It's the early stage of a tournament. You don't need to try.
Yeah, I think
you don't risk your tournament with nothing there.
Well, I must disagree with you again on that one. Oh. With a board, an 8-high board, I think you've got tremendous value in raising there.
Raising? Sorry,
yeah, in
you're
betting
not raising.
Sorry, betting.
Not
betting.
again. To do a
continuation.
Not
bet.
against 3 people. It's far too many.
With an 8-high board, I'd say yes.
Against one person, yes. Against 3 people, definitely not. It's totally advised against by Harrington and by everyone. I mean, it just you would not make a continuation bet there.
No, I can't
and it would be
agree.
clearly wrong.
I think it depends on the cards and the situation. And I think that situation. That particular situation, I wouldn't say normally do it, but in that situation with an 8-high board, 8-5-2, I think the flop was. I can't see how, and 2 people have already checked to you.
I think Mark's been on funny juice tonight.
No, I don't see how anyone can call you with that. First of all, you've got 2 people who've checked an 8-5-2 board.
How do you know what they've got, Mark?
Well, they're calling you.
You're not making decisions looking at their hands now. You're not after time making decisions. As it happens, they've got an up and down straight and hit the pair flop as well. But you're not looking at the cards. There's 3 players out there with a flop which you've missed altogether. To advise people to bet into that would be really bad.
Well, I don't think it would be really bad.
Of course,
no, I don't think it would be.
You don't want to risk your tournament when the blinds are 20-40. Why do you have to take it's not a desperation time to try and win that pot. There's no need to. You've got plenty of other situations.
No, I agree.
You want to play situations where you know where you are, not feebly feeling around in the dark, not knowing you might be up against trips.
I think you've got a lot of information there.
You might be over against an overpay. You might be against trips. You might be against a draw hand. You've got people.
I think you've got a lot of information there. You've had 2 people who've checked around to you, from the small blind and the big blind, whoever it was that called you in the first place. And,
Sorry?
You're the third one to act, so you've had some information on the flop, the fact that 2 people have checked an 8-high board, an 8-5-2 board with no particular
One
no
person.
particular threat on there. No, 2 people. You were the third one to act. And the fourth...
There's no way do I want to risk my tournament feeling around with no hand against 3 people.
We didn't have no hand. You did have 2 overcasts on the board.
It's nothing.
Well, I think on a board like that, 8 high, I think you're warranted. If it was Jack high or Queen high, that'd be very different.
If you ended up going out of there with no pair in the early first stage of a tournament...
No, I'm not saying you should go out, but a bet of 200 or whatever it was would have been sufficient.
Yeah, and you start with 1,000 chips, Mark.
Yeah, if you lose,
that's 20% of your stack.
No, okay.
It doesn't win it for you. And what happens if they call? What do you do next? Now you end up saying, I'm going to have to try
then you have to give it up. But by them calling, you might even hit your ace or king on the next card. Or you might even get a free card on the turn.
Which mightn't be good enough because they could be in there with ace 5 or ace 8 or ace 6 and now your ace doesn't win for you.
But you've only got 1 player to come against.
How do you know?
Because I don't think anyone with an ace.
Right. If the guy with the who's hit the pair calls, then the guy who's got the up and down straight calls because he's getting value, especially for 200. So you haven't got 1 player, you've got 2 players.
Okay, that's fine.
Right.
And then what happens on the next card?
Well, you don't know where you are now.
You either hit or you don't.
But you don't know where you are, Mark.
Well, you must know that you're either up
against a monster. You know you've got no hand.
Well, but you must know you're either up against a monster or nothing at all, or a draw. Because no one is going to call you with 8-9 in that situation.
They actually now have got position on you. One of the ones who's called you's got position on you.
If he's called. You ask him to call with a 5-10, a middle pair with a
if you call a raise with 5-10, presumably you think that the person's raising with big cards and you're looking to hit your funny cards.
No, he was calling for the flush draw potential of he had 2 suited, he had 10-5 suited.
And if you hit the he was happy enough to bet with it, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he's last to act. He can see weakness from the other 3 players.
Right, but it could have been, I could have had a pair of aces and just checked it and waited for him to bet.
No, you wouldn't have done that.
Why not?
No, you wouldn't. But you checked a pair of aces to 3 players.
I said I could have had. He doesn't know.
No, but that would be a very unlikely move. And this is why it's good to bet anyway, to find out where he's at.
No way. I totally disagree. I think to try a continuation bet, get a bet against 3 people is in the early stages is incorrect. I have no doubts about it.
No, I can't agree on that one. Can't agree at all.
Okay.
Not on an 8 high board. If there was a jack or a queen in that somewhere, then maybe. But
against
not
1 person, no problem. Against 2, maybe if you know the people.
It's not really 3 people. I'll tell
you what. If it's against 2 people, I think you need to have position on both of them. If it's against 3 people, it's just a no-no.
Well, you have got position on both 2 of them.
We're not going to agree on that, Mark, I'm afraid.
You've got position on 2 of them, though, haven't you?
No, against 3 people. You just don't try a continuation bet against 3 people.
If you're first to act, yes.
Not in the early stages of a tournament with no hand.
I disagree.
I would rather save my chips for where I knew where I was.
No, I can't agree on that one.
Okay.
It was another disagreement tonight from me and James. So what do you think out there? You're watching this. Do you think a continuation bet was warranted with an 8 high board, or do you think it's just too difficult to pull through?
No, against 3 people. That's a point.
Yeah, well, it's not really 3 people. I say it's not really 3 because you've seen weakness from 2 players. You've had information that 2 players are weak.
Well, and if they've hit trips, don't you think they'll be checking?
If's a good question.
It's a low flop, and that's the sort of cards which could be out there.
It could be.
So how clever would you look if they trapped with their...
Yeah, but you can't always think that your opponents have trips all the time.
Well, what have they called a raise with? They check. You're just looking what they've got. That's not how you commentate. You've got to be blind to what they've got.
It could be anything.
Exactly. So they could now check with trips, which they would do. You now make your continuation bet with your ace king, i.e. nothing.
And they call or raise.
Right. Now, next card comes.
You get rid of it.
Next card comes, you hit your ace. Well done. Now Mark pushes his chips in. Thank you, Mark. Good night. You've just been done by the trips.
Instead, but if you follow through what happened in reality in this situation, you walk off with a pot. Because more than likely, the 10-5 won't call you.
Not necessarily. There's an up and down straight there. Who well call you.
He might well call you. But then, the chances of him hitting is slimmer than you winning the pot. You're the favourite in that hand against the up and down straight draw. Marginal, mind you, but... Your favourite, he doesn't think that is.
I'm not favourite against the pair. If you put in the figures.
No, you're not favourite against the pair.
If you put in the percentages against all the hands out there, the ace king is in bad shape. I can promise you.
You're talking about just playing it from a technical viewpoint. I'm talking about playing it from a creative viewpoint.
Right.
From a technical viewpoint, sure, if you crunch the numbers, and
I
the
think
numbers say
you're
that you're not a favourite in this situation.
No, I do agree. Your play would be very creative, but not technically good. That's my point.
Well, I think I think it's the right situation to make a continuation bet there.
Okay. That's a new thought in the game, because continuation bets against 3 people is generally thought not to be great.
Not to be great unless the board is pretty helpful towards you and you've had 2 checks.
Well, the board is not helpful to the ace-king at all.
No, I think there's a strong possibility that that is a reasonable board for you, for ace-king. You've got to figure that when 2 people have checked to you and you're third to act, that your ace-king is a good chance that you're winning this situation. Or if anyone has hit any kind of pair, if they've called you with a pair of 3s or 4s, they're likely to put it down to your bet. Because you're the one, like you said, you're the one that could have the aces. Why can't you have aces or kings? You would do that with that situation, wouldn't you? You would bet out there, wouldn't you, with aces or kings?
Sorry?
If you had aces or kings in that situation, you would bet out, wouldn't you?
Against the... I don't know. It depends who I was against. It depends what I do.
In that situation, in that
on the
exact same
flop.
situation, yeah. You've hit that flop. That flop is exactly the same. What do you do with aces or kings?
Well, yeah, I'll bet.
Well, there you go. You can still walk into trips like you mentioned earlier. That can still
but
happen.
I don't have to. I don't have to overbet it.
No, I'm not talking about an overbet. I'm just talking about betting 3/4 of the pot, that sort of area.
Yeah, so you can see where you are. Also, I can actually check it because I can look to be more powerful and to come back over the top of someone who might be trying to nick it in late position, thinking it's weakness.
Sorry, say that once more?
I can actually check it and look to... because at early stages,
Oh, I've got to disagree with you
I can
on that.
slow play. I said I can play. It's an alternative way of playing it.
I don't think it's an alternative, personally.
All right. I think it is. I can slow play it.
Against
and
3 people?
I can now come over the top of someone.
I agree with you on that point if you were first to act.
Yes, so I was saying there's different ways you can play it.
But you're not your third to act. So it means you've only got one person still to make a move. If he doesn't make a move, you're now giving
So I said, I said I could play it the other way. It's early stages. When it's the first level of blinds...
I don't think that's an alternative at all.
I've seen you slow play in early stages with 10-20. You can slow play big hands and just be prepared to get away from them. That's the way.
Yeah, but this is a very different situation.
Anyway, so there's no way I think you should be committing with no hand in the early stages. I think it's just panic.
It's interesting, isn't it? We don't actually agree on either of those points. So if you've had aces, you might, I'm not saying you would, but 20% of the time you might, let's say for argument's sake, if we pull a figure on it, you might slow play it in that situation, whereas I wouldn't play it even 1% of the time slow play in that situation.
Well, you see, the thing is, if you're in a pot where there's 3 people have called a raise, that sort of flop is likely to have hit someone because they're less likely to have your sort of cards and more likely to have other sorts of cards.
Well, I don't know, 8-5-2, I don't think that's going to likely to hit someone. And if they've checked
They could have a ready-made hand.
They could do, like what, a pair of 4s? I don't think they're calling you with a pair of 4s.
Well, what couldn't they have a pair of 10s?
They could do.
Well, isn't that the sort of hand which
but
calls
do
raises?
they check it? Do they check it to 4 players? I don't think they do.
But how do you know which one's got it?
Well, you've had 2 out of the 4 players. Sorry, no, 2 out of the 3 players.
So supposing the first 2 players have checked through weakness, well then, in a way, it's more likely that the last one's got some connection. If no one's got any connection, then it's more likely that the last one's got some connection.
Not necessarily.
Mathematically, it's more likely he's got some connection, because if they haven't hit, you take those cards out the equation. So it is mathematically more likely. If you didn't look at his cards, 2 people didn't hit, and I didn't hit, you take 6 cards out the equation, mathematically, this unseen hand is more likely to hit.
I agree.
Okay, that's what I was saying, but you wouldn't agree with that to start with.
Yeah, no, but that's a very... to go on that basis, I think would be totally incorrect, because you're just talking...
Let's watch this tournament, because we're missing all the tournament now, Mark, which is probably not the idea.
So some stats for you, James.
Pre-flop folds, Lindsay 84%, Lupreville 80, TMDVD 79, all pretty similar, and K Hodge playing a lot of hands. And successfully, because he's got quite a few chips. Flop 588. So we're on the 3rd level, 40-80. Looking to get a hand, but 10-2 is a bit miserable. A raise from Luperville. I don't know where I am with 10-2. Probably imagine I'm behind.
Yeah, no, I don't think you call in that situation.
So I decide, even for a small raise, to put it down because I want to save my chips for when I want to play them.
Yeah, well, you've already had 3 people knocked out, so you're getting close to the money here.
Well, my equities, even though my chips are down, my equity's not terrible because there's 5 players left.
Yeah, and
so
2 of them have got decent stacks, so it means that, you know, the 3 other players are all sort of shortish.
And also, you don't need to win much just to be back in the game because the blinds go up and it's very quickly you're back in the game. So if you look at the equity charts, I did some work at home on some equity charts, just having a look at different stack sizes, what your equity in the tournament is. And it's quite interesting. And if you look at your equity there, your equity is well above your starting equity, even though you're low on chips, just because of the fact you're down to 5 players.
Yeah.
There's 3 prizes there, there's 5 players. It doesn't take a miracle to get in the money.
No, no, absolutely not.
So we've seen the comebacks from all sorts of chip stacks, but people forget about that. But still, I'd like to find a hand somewhere, and that isn't it. 3-9. I'm really starting to sweat this a little bit. Oh, King Queen.
Ah, King Queen. Let's see
My
what happens here.
Well, King Queen. I said
rules in the land
of the unraised pot. Oh,
but you've raised.
Yes, I did say there's exceptions, and this is the exception.
Oh, James, you're just moving the
no,
goalpost now.
It's got to be
James.
serious for the viewers. There's people who've got to tell them good information. This is an exception. The blinds are big. My stack's gone down. This is definitely the time for me to make a move. Also, I've been quiet, so I'm going to get respect. I've got an ace to pass. The better hands pass to me because I've been quiet. So I've gained by my respect of not playing too many hands, and I've got them to put a hand down.
Okay.
So therefore, that was an exception. So I took a good decision under the gun with a king queen. That was the exception, but it looked like a strong hand from me. So whenever you make a better hand, put it down. It's a good result.
So Luperville 10, King 10 suited. Quite
Well,
a nice hand to have in the small blind.
7-4, horrible hand for me. So again, have to reluctantly
nothing you can do
surrender. And the Jack Deuce, and I don't. What do I think do here? I don't want to commit here.
No, it's not worth it. Not with Jack 2.
So I decide just.
Yeah,
to
no, that's the
surrender.
right play as far as I'm concerned. See, I do agree with you sometimes.
All right. Oh, what's this? And here's interesting. The blinds are 81-60. He's now made it a small raise. I now decide, hang on, I can squeeze the other 2 people here because they're in the blind, small blind, big blind. That's 240 extra in the middle. I'm going to now come over the top of this guy, squeeze the other 2 people out the pot.
It's a raised pot though this time.
Yes, because it's a desperation, because the blinds are 81-60. I've squeezed them out the pot, got the extra money in the pot, and as it happens, sweet as it is...
Oh, you're lucky because Rockin, whatever his name is... Oh, you've hit a straight anyway.
I've actually got...
Yeah, you've hit a straight.
I've actually got him covered. I've got him dominated, actually, pre-flop, King Queen against King 10. But the reason I did it was because of just the opportunity of the extra money in the pot. There was an extra 240 in the pot, which I thought was going to get squeezed out because he was the initial raiser. He'd raised, I've re-raised. It's highly unlikely they're going to call because they're going to feel there's monsters out there.
With that situation...
And I'm getting the equity of the extra money.
Just curious about that situation. Obviously, you're going to squeeze out the small blind and big blind, that's fine.
Yes.
But... did you feel at the time that perhaps it was almost like a call to the other guy because it was very unlikely he was going to fold?
I know he's going to call. I don't expect him to pass. And I might even be underdog in this situation. It's just that my chip situation doesn't give me too much...
So you're doing it through pot odds more than anything else?
In this case, it's pot odds, and I might be winning.
Plus, yeah.
It's King, Queen suited. It's not going to be... It's not horrific. Yeah. And I might be winning.
Okay.
I'm in good shape against a pair. You know, only a small underdog, and the suited helps against the pair. So I think I could be against pair of 10s, pair of jacks.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Pair of 8s, 9s, all those.
Yeah. In fact, the guy behind you had the pair of 8s, didn't he?
Yeah. So and we squeezed him out. That was the idea of the play. The power was the squeeze, and I call that a squeeze play. And that was a reason to, which is quite ironic here that tonight I've done 2 plays with a king queen, which are an exception. But I've pointed out earlier that there are exceptions to it.
Can I just confirm, James, that you played King Queen in more of a Mark Banin style in those 2 occasions?
No, I played it in the James Browning style. I like to play my style.
What do you think, folks? Did he play it in the Mark Banin style or
No,
the
that's James Browning.
style?
This is. I understand the rule probably better. My own rule, so I should understand it. But I'm glad you agreed with the plays anyway.
Yeah, the King Queen was more dangerous against the King 10, definitely.
Oh, you didn't like that play either?
No, I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying it's a little bit more of a fine line between that one, I think. The first one was fine. The second one was a little bit harder because I'm only, in effect, calling with the King Queen, knowing that the guy's going to...
I've squeezed extra money out the...
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just thinking more about the fact that that guy was going to... definitely call me. And
yeah, but the
I was
blinds,
in that
the
case,
blinds are high anyway. What am I going to do with 640? Am I going to wait again and not get another hand? That's a wonderful...
Were you on... What position were you in terms of blinds?
I'm...
on that, when that
my
King
big
Queen.
blind in 2 hands time.
Oh, there you are. It's there, wasn't it? You're on the button, in fact. Okay.
Yeah, in 2 hands time, big blind.
Yeah. Big blind, 2 hands time. Big blind, 1, 2, 3 hands time, yeah.
Well, that hand's finished.
Yeah, that was, you were on the button that time. So this would have been 3. But anyway, this is neither here nor there. It's not that important in this situation. But yeah, interesting. In fact, you both wanted each other's cards there, didn't you, on the end?
Right, I missed that. Was that the one where I've actually passed an 8? I'm not sure. I think it could have been... Yes, it's come down to an awkward situation again. The blind's now very high. I'd actually passed an ace because I realised I'd got Rocking Robbie covered in chips. And so I was looking, hopefully, to end up in a heads-up encounter because I thought they'd leave. And he's soft Susie's passed a big hand to leave us to fight.
Right.
So
Can he fold, though, for the...
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I think he's a random hand. I've got 2 shots because I've got him covered.
Right.
So therefore, either I get lucky here, which I don't, and if I knock him out, brilliant, I'm in the money, but I've still got a dog's chance next time.
You see, this was similar, very similar, I think, to the King 10, King Queen scenario that we saw a moment ago, in as much that it was, in effect, only a call because he didn't have enough to fold.
No, I don't expect him to pass.
Right.
That's not the point. It's because I've got him, this is an interesting mathematical point, this is. This is just, now I push in anyway, regardless. I get the extra money, because it squeezes him out of it because he doesn't want to be knocked out as well, or he doesn't want to get involved. And I don't get, 10-9 against A7.
Well, 10-9's a fair hand.
I've got a 45% chance there.
Yeah.
As happens, I lose again. So I lose 2 close situations.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm favourite to win one of them.
Okay.
I'm favourite to win one of them.
No, you.
Of course I am.
Why are you favourite to win one of them?
Well, even if you're 6-4 against, you're favoured to win one of them. If you have 2 shots at the 6-4, you're favoured to win one of them. It's maths. But I'm not even 6-4. I'm only 45.
You're not favourite.
Of course you are.
No, because in a 50-50, you're favourite to win 1 out of 2. So how can you be 6-4 win out of 2?
To win 2 even monies, you're 3-1 against.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So therefore, the guys there, when they're 5-4 on against me, they're underdog to win 2 5-4 on shots.
They're underdog, yeah.
So therefore, I'm favoured to win one of them.
Okay.
You mustn't argue that one because you'll lose, because it's mathematics. So that's the principle of it.
Okay.
So I've picked this principle. It's an interesting thing for the people to listen to. I've picked this against the guy who I've got covered in chips because technically I've got 2 chances. One, either knock him out and get more chips, or then I have another chance to come alive again.
Yeah. I personally, I wouldn't make the move. The 10-9, I don't mind. Once you're in that situation, the 10-9, I don't mind making that move. I'm not sure about the 7-9. The 7-9, I'm not.
What, with the blinds this big?
Yeah, because the guy is almost... You see,
yes,
you're not going to knock him off the hand. That's the problem.
No, so I'm heads up. Again,
and then if I lose it, I'm down to 400 or whatever it was. So that was...
So then I've got 2 chances to win a hand. That's the principle of it. That was premeditated.
Okay, it's not the way I would have played it.
Okay, it's a sit and go. It's a proven winning method in sit and goes. It's a mathematical situation. It's a standard. It's a mathematical situation in sit and goes where you can create 2 chances to win a hand. There's some software out for sit and goes. It's a proven method.
Okay.
So
I'm not totally convinced on the 7-9 move.
I think Mark's decided to argue with everything tonight, which is quite interesting.
No, I just don't
but
think it...
if you're going to argue against maths, I think you're going to come up with the wrong side of this.
I just don't think that you can move against 7-9 when you know you're going to get a call and you don't need to. You're not in a desperate situation.
Right, his average hand's going to be something like Queen 7 anyway. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're now going to get crippled. This is the problem. You're now going to get crippled. I don't think it's the right play in a sit and go in this stage.
So if I pass, what situation am I in then?
Well, you're in a lot of situations because you're not taking into consideration the fact that someone else could get knocked out.
No. If I pass, I'm giving the guy who's the lowest stack my chips for nothing.
Yeah, you're giving him 160.
Which is ridiculous, because I'm now fattening him up with no risk.
Yeah,
and I pay the blinds before he does. So that's why I need to attack him with anything like a reasonable hand, which is 2 cards above a 6, basically. I will be pushing in against him. Because then, mathematically, on average, I'm not going to be a big underdog. I've got him covered in chips, so he's not going to take my tournament life. It's his tournament life, and it's possible he might have something like 7-2, which he does pass. So there is a minimum amount of fold equity there. Someone will
some fold equity, I agree.
Right,
there is
so
some
there's a
fold
minuscule amount of fold equity, and my hand is probably not going to be a massive underdog anyway.
That can be negated by the fact that there's a chance that someone else will get knocked out before you, and you make the money in that situation with 4 players remaining.
Well, I'm not... it was premeditated. I played purely to reach that situation, so I was happy with the situation. What did he have anyway?
He had Queen 6, I think. Queen 7, Queen 6? No, you had 7-9, so he didn't have one of your cards, so he had Queen 6. So he's, 6-4, basically.
He's 58%. Yeah. I've got 42.5%. Exactly. So 42.5%, not bad shape.
Yeah.
42.5.
Not my play. Not my play. I think I'd be surprised actually. I'd be interested
to hear.
And there's
maybe a 1% tie.
I'd be interested to hear actually what the any of the other commentators would do in that situation. Because I don't think they would have played it that way. Personally, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't. I'm sure Tom might have. I don't think Cass or Nick would have done. Be interesting to see what they would have done in that situation.
Okay, that's what we want. We want to see some interesting situations.
So a pair of 8s against queens. No good. Queens is going to take it, and Suze takes it down with his overpair to the board. And interesting stuff. Lots of debate again.
Yeah, more debate.
More debate.
Here's a chip movement graph.
Where are you, James? Let's have a look. Lindsay is that
very
funny
coloured
one
tonight.
Yeah.
Steady, 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 and then lost 2 in a row, so the steep fall. K Hod was steady, steady. Most people were pretty steady there, and then pressed on the accelerator later, which is sort of pretty classic sit and go standard.
Yeah, they were playing fairly time. We saw that earlier in the other sit and go as well.
So bubble for me, which was
close for no cigar. But like you said, you only have to win one of those situations, and you're less likely that you go out in the bubble.
The one I'm looking at there is, if the nitty gritty is, I'm 42.58% to come third with chips because I've knocked out the lowest guy.
Yeah.
Now that's a lot of equity, 42.58 for it. If it goes wrong, I ended up now with probably 45% to win my next hand, which was 400 against the guy's matching 400, plus his blind, which he left behind, gives me 960 again. Thank you very much.
In terms of the maths you were saying, I totally agree 100%.
I'm glad.
Okay, that
I was worried that you were disagreeing with that.
There is one thing that isn't factored in there, and that is the chance of one of the other 3 knocking each other out. That isn't factored into that.
Right, but they've got too many chips for me to wait around. I haven't got enough chips to wait around. I have to use my weapons there and then. But mathematically, you can see what a nice situation I was in.
Yeah.
That is a package. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Of course, though, on the second one, you don't have the 40% or whatever it is.
45%.
45%. With the 9-10 against A7.
Yes.
Suited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Round about 40, round about 45. It's 2 middle cards. Round about 45. We'll say round about 42. It's not going to be much different.
Okay. Whatever it was, let's say similar to whatever it was. So the point is, in that particular situation, though, of course, that percentage doesn't buy you third because the guy had you covered.
No, of course it doesn't.
So that's it's not quite the same as the first one.
No, but that's my dog's life. That's the second part. But that now puts me in. There's another blind to come. I'm there with nearly 1,000 chips again.
Yeah.
I've virtually matching the other guy anyway. It's a battle between me and the other this low stack again. So if you all together, you can see mathematically, I'm going to end up better than he is.
Yeah.
Because I've got the extra life. That extra life gives me more power than the guy who called.
Yeah.
Because he has only got 56%. Now you can understand that mine will turn into more than that because of the second chance. And that's why extra chips is oxygen, is life, is chance. And we know from any amount of chips you can end up winning. I had that behind because I had him covered. So the moral of the story is, if you find a situation where you've got someone covered, your position is more powerful than it looks.
So would you have done the same thing if you going all in that situation?
If I had less chips than him, I wouldn't have done it with the 9-7.
No. I was going to say, if with that 9-7 scenario,
Yes.
if you would have ended up with 200 chips as opposed to 400, would you still make the same move? That's a bit different.
It's getting close. I was pleased that I knew I had 4. I'd already calculated.
Of course,
I had.
yeah.
I knew how many more I had with him. Prior to this, it was premeditated. I actually passed an ace-2 against the 2 chipped-up guys, knowing that I thought I can end up against the lower stack here. Because I'm lower stacked here. My thing is here to whittle into the money a little bit here and then see what happens then. I've already premeditated this. I got exactly the dream situation. Thank you very much. Heads up against you. That was my aim in life. That's why I didn't play the ace with a dodgy kicker.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
well, interesting points. Interesting points. We've got quite a lot of emails to go through, James. Are you ready?
okie doke.
Here we go. This one's from Rob, and Rob is saying, hello, Mark and James. The email is really for James concerning his king-queen rules expression. I was playing in a tourney online and raised before the flop with ace-king. I got one caller and a king appeared on a flop. I made it a pot-sized bet and he came back over the top of me with his whole stack, which was about a third bigger than mine. I called and he showed king-queen and promptly crippled his tourney chances. Incidentally, I went on to finish 5th out of 180. Very nice indeed. Well done, Rob. After the hand, he made a comment about being unlucky to find me with ace-king. I take back to him, remember this, king-queen rules, but only in the land of the unraised pot. Another player said they liked the expression and asked if it was mine. I said yes. No, I said no. And it came from James Browning. They asked if he was a friend of mine, and I said no. James, you don't have any friends, do you?
Yeah, go on.
And directed him to pokernightlive.co.uk. The players were American, and so maybe James' expression will now be listened to across the pond. Wow, your expression is reaching
Thank
far.
you very much. My fame.
As a side point, I want to say I make more money with King-Queen now, taking James' expression into account than I ever have done. Great show, love the discussion you have together, and always look forward to pro nights with the both of you on the same show. Well, this has definitely been an unusual show for us.
No, it has. Listen,
we should have differences, don't we? But
we do.
These have been more expressed this time.
Listen, Mark and I are really good friends, so don't ever think we're not, because we are. We get on great. But we do like having the discussions, and we don't mind discussing with each other. In front of you, we don't mind that. We're happy for it because we think it makes good television and we like it. So don't worry about it, we're fine. But I think we've had some good stuff, and it's good because what it does is hopefully it'll get you all thinking, and that's what we want. And that's what the show is about. And if we can all discuss together and you throw some stuff back to us here, that's brilliant, because not only will you get better, we'll all get better. And what could be better than that?
Excellent. Well, we've got one from Double Top, and Double Top is saying, hi guys, not sure if Casper agrees with the King-Queen thing. All right, doesn't he not agree with you?
Double Top, King-Queen thing? Come on.
Yeah, great show already, and only 45 minutes into the show. I'm going to record this show tomorrow on The Reply. It's going to be a classic. Okay. This is what we need, 2 good players talking about the pros and cons about hands and situations. Keep it up, boys, but money's on Mark in any heads-up games. Cheers. Okay. Thanks very much for that, DT. Very nice indeed. And on to another one, and this one is from Tobias. And Tobias is saying, now, where can I place my bets on the death match between Banin and Browning? Fight. This sounds like a schoolyard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, yeah. I'll take him on at tennis.
Are you good at tennis, are you?
Not bad.
Oh, OK. I'm not that good, but I still fancy my chances against you.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we have a little wager?
No, I'm not good enough to do that. Anyway, let's move on. Steve Taylor. Steve Taylor is saying, "Hi, having listened to your conversation regarding King Queen specifically and danger hands in general, I cannot understand advocating playing King Queen from the button in an early position to an early position raiser. Perhaps if you are Phil Ivey with one of the greatest post-flop games in the world, then you may glean a profit. For us mere mortals, you'll end up losing your entire stack or make a few odd chips. What hands do you expect to be leading against pre-flop? And even if you hit the flop, you are likely dominated and could be exiting the tournament. Can I refer you to a book by arguably one of the greatest no-limit players, Dan Harrington? Having read both his books numerous times, he refers to the gap concept and the sandwich effect, which both dictate that you need a stronger hand to call a raise than you need to open with." Absolutely right.
I agree.
In Volume 1, he states that with King Queen unsuited in early position, he would fold 50% of the time and limp with the other 50. Bearing the gap and sandwich concept in mind, is clear a call with King Queen to an early position raise is incorrect. I'd be interested to hear your theories. I know that Mark is a bit loose, so that may explain the comments. Lol.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad that Dan Harrington agrees with me.
Yeah, well, it's backgammon players sticking together, isn't it?
Exactly,
Basically, what it boils
backgammon
down.
players sticking together.
No, I think that's really what it boils down to. He wants us to discuss the theory of what I'm saying is. And what I'm saying is I think you'll find that there are very few players... Sorry, let me rephrase that. There are very few of the top-notch professionals that you see that will throw away... Well, sorry, that will limp with King-Queen. In fact, I can't remember any of the times where they all actually limp with King-Queen.
Dan Harrington is an absolute top-class player, a really brilliant guy, top chess player, backgammon player, poker player. He limps 50% of the time, folds 50% of the time with King-Queen offsuit.
Yeah, but there's more than one player.
No, but he's a great player.
I'm
And
not
he's
saying-
probably written one of the best books we've seen on poker for a long time.
Perhaps so. But at the same token, you've also got to accept that
I don't think I can...
TJ Cloutier, for example, has written a great book, a great player himself.
TJ Cloutier will never, ever... You won't see him coming in with King-Queen early position. No way.
Well, that's where you're very wrong.
Oh,
I've played with him.
I've played with TJ Cloutier in the Isle of Man. There's no way. He plays very, very solid.
Well,
very solid player.
Well, I played with him in a World Series, not
Yep.
last year, the year before, and he played anything but solid. And when someone questioned, "Oh, TJ, you don't write about doing that in your book," he says, "Well, I don't give all my secrets away," is what he said. And that wasn't King Queen. That was a lot worse. I can't remember what it was, but it was a lot worse than King Queen.
All right.
So, and that was his comment. He actually said, I can't teach you everything in my books," he said.
All right.
So there you are. The thing I'll say is that, I think that some of these books, you do have to accept that, they're not giving away all their secrets sometimes.
Well, I don't think you can...
He says in that book, I think, about throwing away ace-queen in early position. I don't think you'll ever see TJ throwing away ace-queen.
Well, I think, hands like... TJ hates ace-queen, and he doesn't play ace-queen. He hates it. That's TJ Cloutier's least favourite hand is ace-queen, because he says that is the hand he's lost the most money with in poker is ace-queen, and that's what TJ Cloutier says.
And that's probably true of most players.
And Dr. Tom... I think he checked up on Poker Tracker, and I think he found that Ace-Queen was really a dangerous hand, a hand which you tend to lose a lot of money with. And I promise you, King-Queen is as well. But if you follow my guideline, you'll lose less with it and probably end up winning with it.
There you are. So as James perceives. And obviously, you can send all your bills and any problems to James Browning, care of Poker Night Live. OK. Email from Malcolm. Hi, gents. Great show. Fairly new to poker playing, a home game players. Not sure what that means, but anyway. Got dealt 9-5, my favourite hand, the Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Yeah.
9 to 5.
9-5 rules in the land of the unraised pot. That's a good saying for that one, I think. Well, suited, raised 4 times a big blind. 3 callers, flop comes 9-9-5. Very nice indeed. Funny enough, I actually won a huge pot with 9-4 on Sunday. I was in the big blind, limps round to me. I ended up making a house on the river. And I flopped trips and made a house on the river. So very nice, and got paid. Anyway, flop comes 9-9-5. Checked one guy, bet. Another raised all in. I called. Other players called. Turn. Bought 5 river. Sorry. I called.
Again?
Other player called. Turn brought a 5. River bought a 5. Told I lost to... Sorry, what did he lose to? And River bought a 5. Told I lost to the first player to go all in as he was playing the board plus the ace. Other play had the king. But he had 9-5, he said. So how could he lose? Makes sense?
Well, shall we have a look at that in the break? Because it's not a few typing mistakes there.
Have I been cheated?
We'll check that out in the break, because we'll sift through that one, because I think it's not been... We'll work it on the break, Mark, because there's not too much time for that one.
OK, let's work it out on the break on that one. Also got a mail from...
Kara.
Kara, yeah, we'll do that one. Just I think probably do that one after the break, the Kara's one. Hi, my name is Brad. I am 12 years old and have been playing poker for... Oh, we're not going to have time for this one, are we?
Okay.
We're not going to have time for this one. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my discussions with James. I shall get the knife out of his back very shortly. In the meantime, enjoy the break and go and get yourself a cup of tea, because we'll be right back right after this. Okay, welcome back to the Big Fight Live with myself, Mark, Prince Charles Banin, and James King Queen Browning. So, how do you like your new nickname? It's growing.
Okay.
Okay, so before the break, we were talking about... let me just before we do that, let me give you ways to contact the show. There are various ways you can contact the show. If you want to get in on the act with me and James, here's a way to do it. Text 842, the word poker. Add your message after that. Put your name in there and get read out live on there. Me and James will both address that. As well as that, you can email the show poker@pokerlightlive.co.uk. There it is on your screen. And don't forget, have a look at our website. We've got a fabulous website. Lots of good stuff going on there. www.pokerlightlive.co.uk. Now, one other thing I'd like to remind you of. This Sunday, we've got the Poker Bowl qualifiers, which we're going to be viewing on Poker Night Live. It should be a lot of fun, James.
It should be.
And it's 5 weeks of qualifiers. The 6th week is where they play a semi-final. And the final, the following, which is a date to be confirmed, they end up playing it here at the studio. So that would be good fun.
That'll be great. Look forward to that.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So look forward to that. That'll be a Sunday, I think, at 8 o'clock. So we had an email, James, just beforehand.
Oh, yes, the 9-5, Dolly
the 9-5, yeah. I don't know what's going on, Malcolm, because according to what you've told us, you've hit quads. So regardless of what they've got, you've got quads. You've got 9-5. You've told us that there's been 3 5s on the board. So you must...
Yeah, well, the flop in the end ended up 9-9, 5-5-5. You had 9-5. He gave you 4 5s. What they're telling you is they said, "Oh look, we've all got a full house on the flop, but I've got an ace." Well, that would be a 6-card hand. It can't be a 6-card hand in poker, can it? It's the best 5-card hand. What you've got is 4 5s with a 9. You were the winner. Go and ring them up now and say, what were you doing? Yeah,
they did cheat you. If that's the case, and you've told it exactly how it is, then you were the winning hand. You had quad 5s. Quad 5s beats a full house. Simple
Too late now, I'm afraid, though.
It does sound it. It does sound it. So,
Mark, shall I give you a rest? You've been reading too much. You've been working your socks off there, mate. We'll have a look here. We've got an email here. Got an email from Kara. Oh, our lovely Kara.
Is that our Kara?
It is. Hi, Mark and James. Watching the show from my parents' house in Canada. My mother and I are both loving the suit and tie, by the way. Big smile. Oh, thank you. Thanks, James, for the email today. Encouraged me to play more. Oh, right, I did contact Kara. Michelle certainly is a fantastic role model. That's because we got reports of Michelle's success in the tourney.
Yeah.
She's been doing damn well, and not just on Beat the Presenter. Smile. I've got a hell of a lot of ground to make up, but I promise to get more practice in soon. Eh? I think that's what's saying it. In fact, if someone in the gallery sends me my ID and password for Great Scott, I'll try to get on one of the TV tables and get a cheeky bit of free tuition from the commentators, just like the viewers do. Good idea. Hi to all in the gallery from Kara. That was fun, wasn't it? That was nice.
Yeah.
To hear from Kara.
Yeah, it was nice. Hi, Kara. Wavy, wavy to Kara and Mum.
And, oh, sticky email, open up, and there we go. We've got another email. This is the one I think you just started before.
Okay, yeah.
It's hi, my name is Brad. I'm 12 years old. Goodness, what are you doing up? And I've been playing poker for... and I've been playing poker for 5 years. I know how to play all games from Texas Hold'em to Raz. I play money poker. My opinion... No, he can't spell opinion, though. He might be 12. He says, myopian. I hope he's not an opium as well, is he? My opinion on Queen King is that it is not a good hand because it is dominated and behind to lots of hands. I wanted to know why you can't start a cash game in the small blind and that some websites claim that the hands are dealt by people, which can't be true. Right, I watch him play poker 4 hours every day and hope to win at least 3 World Series of bracelets. Yes, very good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, on to the next one, I think, James.
Next. Okay, we've now got an email from Annie. Hi guys, great to see you on the show together again. Some great verbal sparring. Fab to watch. Just a quick update on my progress in the last couple of weeks. You might remember my email of a couple of weeks ago while I was on a great sit-and-go cashing streak of 15 out of 15 games at the $11 level. I do remember it. And I was wondering whether to move up to $22 sit-and-goes. Remember it well. Well, I'm still at the $11 level and I'm now on tilt. Oh no, laugh out loud. However, I did manage 20 cashes in 21 games, which has given me quite a bankroll cushion to fall back on. That's incredible. Unfortunately, I didn't plan on needing that cushion quite so soon. I'm now down $90 from my peak 10 days ago and need your much valued advice once again. Should I try and play through this bad form? I admit that 60% of my downturn is me and due to a lack of confidence and bad decision making through playing while being too tired. Well, you've answered that yourself, I think. The other 40% just bad poker luck. What should I do? I love to play and have even gone back to playing a few play money games so as not to erode my bankroll too much while trying to play myself back into the correct mindset and regain my rhythm. But I can't seem to work my way out of the poker rut that I'm now in. Should I try and play myself back into form or just give the great game of poker a rest for a few days? What do you advise? Thanks in advance for your thoughts. I'll tell you what very quickly here. If we take your whole record all together, and that's what poker is all about, it's still a fantastic record. I mean, the number of cashes you had before was unbelievably good. You had to have a downturn. The only problem is you shouldn't have let it affect your confidence. And you've now admitted you've been playing a few games badly. Look at the overall record, and your percentage of cashes is still brilliant. Just get your confidence back. Just play as you were playing before, because fantastic record still, isn't it, really?
Very good record, yeah, very good indeed.
And you're bound to have a dip after an amazing spell.
You do, yeah.
It's just one of those things.
The one thing I will say, if you want to try and get back on track, certainly give it a rest for a few days. I mean, I went through almost identical, same thing to you. You know, I first started playing, I was playing sit-and-go poker. You know, I wasn't playing cash games, and I went through a great run. I'm not sure what the figures were, but I was winning non-stop. I couldn't stop winning. And then all of a sudden, and then I just thought to myself, okay, well, you know what, James? I'm playing 2 or 3 of these a day. Maybe if I play 6 or 7 or 8 of these a day, just think how much money I could make. So sure enough, I started playing, you know, many more, and all of a sudden I can't start winning because it's not fun anymore. You know, it's not fun. It becomes laborious. You know, I'm not really thinking. Everything's on autopilot. And that's where you start to go wrong. You start to overplay a little bit more. You start to play too many games and you're not really thinking about the situations. My advice is give it a rest for a couple of days. Get your mind fresh so you really look forward to playing again. And that way, when these situations do crop up, you'll say, OK, this is what I need to do in those situations. And it'll be fun again. And hopefully you get back onto winning streak. So good luck and let us know how you get on.
No reason not to be confident, though. Hi, Mark and James. Stop arguing. Laugh out loud. That's from Smooth Cut. Reference my play earlier on with Ace Queen and limping in. The sharks on this table have been limping and only calling big pairs all night. And I put Dewey Boy on high pocket pair after he re-raised me, thinking I was limping in with your infamous King Queen or big pair and then representing the ace on flop. I disregarded the fives as the odds were against it, but never put him on as a stronger hand as he had. Lost my stack, but you can always reload and continue to enjoy the game. Laugh out loud. Also, can we have more hand analysis, as I believe that the play on these TV tables deserves it, as they're playing a standard of poker higher than the stakes most times been with you from the start, and continue to enjoy it. Keep it up.
Yeah, he's definitely not wrong about that, is he? About the levels that these guys play at is very good, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. You see the standard of play in, say, like a small cash game is probably way above the level on a similar cash game on another site, that's for sure.
Absolutely. OK, shall we do one more, James,
and
then
more.
Get back to the
tables?
tables?
We've got one from Dan in Essex. Hi there, Dan. It's evening, Mark and James. Just watching the show and enjoyed the discussion on the King Queen. My question for you is, after hearing you describing the single table tourney as tight, it reminded me of something I read in Doyle Brunson's Super System. That is, when in a real tight game, play loose. Could you explain this in a little more detail, perhaps, giving an example? Thanks. Well, listen, Dan, I think Mark and I will definitely agree on this one. One of my favourite things is to be a contrarian, i.e., if the table is very tight, then this is a good time to be loose. If the table is very loose, it's a good time to be very tight. And that's the way to capitalise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you'll find that if you do that, most of the time you'll end up in good stead. The one thing I will say, though, is be careful, because all it takes is one other player on that table to realise what's going on, adapt, and if he becomes loose too, then that does affect the status quo a little, and you have to adapt to that situation too. But it is definitely a good way. You know, I won the Brighton main event by that, based on that very thing. In the early part of the tournament, I noticed the whole table was very tight. I was extremely aggressive on that table, and they just couldn't get into pots with me. They all wanted to limp in with all sorts of nonsense hands, and I just wouldn't let them. You know, I always used to make it very, very scary for them, and they just would, you know, they would just get anywhere near me, and hence, eventually, the blinds were high enough to, you know, where now they've eroded away their stack. They haven't been able to catch miracle flops with their suited connectors and what have you, and it was too late.
Too late, yeah.
Yeah, so. Yeah, so it was good.
The horse had bolted.
So, thanks very much for all your emails so far. We're going to do some more a little later. Time to head over to a final table.
Oh,
Let's
brilliant.
see.
We love this final table.
We do. We'll probably have to do some emails during the final table, but we've got 4 players left, so we should be okay. So, James, should be interesting what's going to go on here, because look at this. The blinds are 1-2. I do love this, and we've got RST. Oh, look, Spyro. Isn't this good to see? We've got Spyro, who was chip leader before, and he's made the final. So it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I always like to see that situation whereby the chip leaders hold on to that chip lead. And that's still the case. So 4 players left now. Blinds are 1-2, so plenty of play still for these guys. Not tons and tons for the 20,000. In fact, all 3 of them are 20,000 there, but they've still got enough. They can lose a few blinds and still have some play.
This is interesting here because the average chips is 42,000. But of course, because one guy's got more chips, the average isn't as relevant to the other 3, because they are still sort of more or less on a par with each other.
Yeah.
Because one guy's got a few more chips.
Yeah, be interesting to see now. We've got lots of situations here, haven't we? Because now RST, he could decide that he wants to play an aggressive game, or he could play a sort of a bide my time game.
Yes,
I mean, there's 2 ways of playing, isn't there?
Yeah, he still hasn't. He's still not totally dominating this. I mean, he hasn't got. If he gets this, it'll be good. He hasn't got over half the chips or whatever yet. But he's heading that way now. In fact, he's just managed it now. He's up to once. Yeah, that would be. He's just got over half the chips now, which is incredible. So therefore, he's got the wonderful situation. If the other 3 all got in the pot and one person got the chips, he'd be heads up and even have a few more chips than the winner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
but he's only just got over half there.
Yeah, so that's a good situation to be in, isn't
what
it?
he can do is he's actually the situation where he can see situations where he can squeeze the other people out. He can starve them of their blinds and let them just whittle away slightly. Five, 5, 8.
Yeah.
He checks.
Now, should he bet there, do you think? 5, 5, 8, not a particularly scary board.
8,000 in the middle there. I mean, I think he might think he's just winning anyway.
There's a good chance that he might think he's winning. And
I think he just decided he might have checked and called a small bet. I don't know, or he just decided that he would.
Certainly, a bet on the flop or bet on the turn would have been the right move there for me.
The only thing is, he's ended up getting the chips without risking anything, so you can't really say anything about it. The reason is he feels that the small stack is going to be frightened even to do anything against him. I think. Possibly.
Although he's not that small, is he? He's a little bit more than the others now. So. He could have put a bet out of 5,000.
Anyway, he's got a real hand now. He's got pair of kings. He's made it 4,000. He wants to get contention here.
Oh, look at this. This could be curtains for Spyro.
He's got a flush draw.
He's got a flush draw, and those 2 overcards aren't helping him.
Well,
one overcard, should I say?
Draw.
Yeah, backdoor straight draw, which you can't be enthused about. And this is all in his sphere, isn't it? He's going to take his chances with a flush draw, I think.
Yeah.
He might even think he's got an overcard.
The backdoor straight sort of gives him just about like 1 out. Sort of, we can estimate. So it's like he's got about 10 outs in this situation.
He's improved. Oh, nearly.
There we go. And that backdoor straight suddenly, with the 5 there, came alive, which gave him 2, 3, 4, 5. Gave him an up and down straight and the flush draw. So in that situation, with the flush draw and the backdoor straight draw, you can estimate that is like 10 outs, I would, rather than 9.
And the nice thing about it is,
And
well,
10 outs is not too bad.
And the unfortunate thing for him is that his queen normally would be good too there in that situation, but it wasn't because obviously.
Oh no, because he had the big
kings,
pair.
yeah.
He had the kings.
So ace king here, James, against queen 9. We're down 3-handed. Battle of the smaller stacks, and the ace king is saying, "I've got the best hand.
Wallop.
No point playing around." What do you think? Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah, definitely. He doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to play with it.
It's not a made hand.
Right.
I think he's just happy. Listen, the blinds are 3. If the guy wants to go in with him and he's got him dominated, fine. But he then doesn't know. Once the flop comes, if he hasn't hit an ace or king, what does he know? He might actually be putting his money when he's behind now.
Yeah.
At least now pre-flop he says, well, listen, I'm pretty sure I'm putting it in when I'm ahead. You can't outplay me now.
How do you like
I think with
Slansky's writing?
I mean, I think Slansky overall is someone I recommend people to get to start with. I mean, Theory of Poker, I think, is a brilliant book for people to read. I think you need to read it 5 times. I think his beginner's book is very good, and I think his advanced Hold'em's good.
I like his advanced tournament play book.
And his advanced tournament plays as well. I think I like his writing. I mean, he's very, very tight, and he's very, very solid. But the principles are all good. It was Slansky who was really the first one to start talking about implied odds. So, you know, you've got to give him credit.
He was, one of the things he says in there, and he was talking about ace-queen, and one of the things he mentions about ace-queen is when you're in late position with ace-queen, how some players raise too much and they scare off the other players with ace-queen. And he was really referring to, he says, if you want to steal the blinds, don't steal it with ace-queen. He's saying, steal it with a rubbish hand, because ace-queen, you want to get some play out of it. So this is why I was asking about the ace-king a moment ago.
You didn't mean ace-queen scares off the ace-queen, did you? Did you mean ace-queen scares off the ace-jack?
Yeah, he scares off, he's basically scaring off other players.
Yeah, you said ace-queen scares off the ace-queen.
All right, no, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, no, ace-queen scares off something like ace-jack, which you want to be in there.
Yeah.
Yes, you can pitch bets there where you have a contest you would like. And if you're in a late position and you've got a substandard hand against your hand, this is a nice contest. This is the sort of contest you want to be in. You've got position, which we know is all-powerful in Hold'em. You can play with a poorer hand with position, and it's pretty good. So when you've got the better starting hand and you've got position, this is the sort of poker you want to play. And generally in poker, that is what I'm aiming to do. I'm either playing position, and position preferably with a good hand. And if I keep on doing that, it is going to be hard for me to lose in my mind, because it's tough.
But James, you know, having a good hand is all relative, isn't it, to the person? What I consider a good hand, what you consider a good hand, are 2 different things. For example,
I think we'd both agree that aces was a good hand.
Yeah, we were agreed on that particular one.
And kings. So we're in the top 2.
But we don't agree on king 8.
I've never said king 8 was a good hand. Just
of course,
because it was on the road in Paris.
No, it's not. Let's get it right. It wasn't on the road in Paris. It was on the road in Paris.
Paris. Yes, it was. But I would have, if I could live my life again, I would be pushing with that king 8 again.
Just don't learn, do you, James? A king 8, king 8. Anyway, we've got top pair here for both players, although one of them's got 2 pair, and it's the guy with all the chips that's got the 2 pair. And he's thinking, how can I extract the most out of this guy? He might just decide that this is the point where he wants to raise. No, he doesn't. He's hoping he hasn't got a flush to go with that.
I think he's just he's got his eyes on that last 13,000.
Yeah, he's probably going to do 8, isn't he? No, he wants
he's got his eyes on it, 14,000. He was doing he decided just to slow play it and just try to get all those chips. That was his
he's folded. Chaminet's folded.
Away from it. Very good.
Good fold?
Well, brilliant.
It's good fold in that situation. Is it a good fold overall?
I think the way that the very fact that the massive chip leader was playing it so trickily made it look a bit suspicious.
On the other point, should the chip leader have raised on the turn?
He maybe could have done, yes, because
he check called, didn't he?
He could have now given the guy a chance to say maybe think he could improve or etc. etc. There's more chance probably to get his chips then, probably.
Yeah.
But the way he played it, it probably looked a bit suspicious.
Yeah.
And then the other guy thought, well, maybe I can somehow wiggle my way into second.
Yeah.
So he had 2 things in mind.
Yeah, interesting. So RST is a huge chip lead, and look at that. He must thinking this is mine. So barring a miracle here, he should take this, but you never know. We've seen people come back from before. There was a guy the other day, Arden Fast, who was up against Del Boy.
Right.
Arden Fast had 14,000. Del Boy had 145. And Arden Fast went on to win.
Amazing. Actually, well, I had one the other night, I think, from 25,000, yeah, which is, again, pretty, and came back and won it, yeah.
So you never know with this. It only takes us one for Brustrom to win against Chaminade and get up to 40-odd thousand, 32,000, and one double up, and it makes a big difference. So we'll just see how this plays out. Well, of course, Chaminade could double up a couple of times and have that, but he's going to need to, because those blinds are going to get round to him thick and fast, and he might decide this is the one to make a move on. He's so short-chipped, and it's suited, it's connected, and he's hit it.
Oh!
And that's good enough. Well, that's double him up, although he's going to need to do that one or two more times if he wants to have a chance at wrestling away this first spot. Now, RST doesn't want to, doesn't want to put the pressure on him. He feels maybe he's committed with whatever hand he's got there. He might take a chance. So Chaminade wins that one.
Actually, he wants to see these two fight. That would be very good for him.
What do you make of this bet here? This is, I don't like this at all, do you?
No, he hasn't got enough
chips. Should have gone all in.
He hasn't got enough chips to be mucking around.
We're not watching limit poker here, are we?
I think he's just thinking, oh, goodness, I thought, well, he could have pushed then. He could well have got the guy to put it down there, maybe. He's got out, he had a straight draw and a flush draw. That could have been a time.
He's taking he's in a lead.
Yeah, but
that's good enough.
Yeah, as it happens, but the problem there is he actually should have bet on the turn there, where he had the chance of the guy put it down, because he didn't know he was ahead with a bare ace, and then he had a straight draw, a flush draw, and the chance the guy might have passed. That was a wonderful situation for him. So although he had played it like slow played it, he then missed his opportunity to say, this is my time to push. He'd seen weakness before.
James, I'm afraid I can't agree with you again on this one. No, I'm only joking. No, totally right on that one. That was exactly the right play. He had a good set of outs there, and the way to play it was to be pushing on the turn.
Yeah, and be very happy if the guy passed. We know that he ended up winning it, but he didn't know he was going to win it. He didn't know where he was. It'd been very nice.
He could have easily been behind.
Yeah, just very nice to take it down there and still be alive, and have weakened his opponent and have gone sneaked ahead of him. Yeah,
that was a particularly nasty board with lots of middle cards out there. And plus, one of the middle cards could have been hit to make a straight, so there was a whole heap of cards.
And the telltale thing was there, if the other guy had bet, he was going to call himself. If he was going to call himself, for goodness sake, bet and have the fold equity going in your favour.
Exactly, yeah. No, that's totally right. So we've got an interesting situation now. The slipper's on the other foot. Brustrom has got the king 10, but he's also the shortest stack. And RST won't be calling this, not with 3-6, and he's done the right thing. Doesn't want to take a shot at this guy, not with... there's no running antes in the pot, so there's no extra equity in there, so just fold it. And he's done the right thing, but I'd like to see a little bit more aggression from RST. He needs to be... especially, he can now put Chaminade under pressure. Whoever's got the better chips out of the two, he can put the pressure on, because they won't want to go out before the other guy. So Chaminade's in that position now. So RST... for my liking, really should have been putting Chaminade under pressure. Obviously, I don't do it with 7 deuce off suit, but do it with any kind of hand that's got some kind of potential.
The only thing is he has, because they're not getting anywhere at the moment. I think he's looking for them to really. He doesn't want to double them up particularly, and I think he's looking for them to fight each other. Is what is his dream, because he knows he's got them well out chipped even when they.
Do you call here, James, with the Queen 8? I think I might do.
How much is he going to call?
8,000. He's getting 2-1. Definitely call. Yeah, it's an automatic call for me. Queen 8.
Yeah, he's getting 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to call that. So Queen went so quickly, lost that one. So they've taken a little bit. RST done nothing wrong there. Had to call with that Queen 8 situation. There was 16,000 in the pot. You had 8 to call. Definite call. You're not going to be in a situation where you're more than 2-1 underdog. Chaminade wins that with top pair, and he wrestles a few more chips out of Brustrom. And he's really not getting any hands apart from those kings we saw a moment ago. RST, the others are picking up slightly better hands.
Chaminade here, he's just called for 3,000.
He's playing these very strange these kind of hands, isn't he?
Yep.
And he's just called.
That's a raise from.
Yeah. Now will he be pushing?
Raise.
No, he's called. Oh, look at that! What a flop! He's flopped Broadway, hit the straight, and he's also got the nut flush, royal flush draw.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a hand
Oh, look at that.
He's loving this, isn't he?
He doesn't. Oh, but look at the split pot.
God, how nasty was that? That was horrible, wasn't it?
Split pot.
Look at that.
There we
well,
go.
if you're wondering how that's a split pot, it's very simple. The jack doesn't play anymore as the jack is on the board. All you need is a king to make the straight. He made that straight. The flush didn't come. Split pot.
Big hand there.
Yeah.
Had the straight made with the flush draw. It looked an absolute dream.
It was a monster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Only the jack could have saved Brustom. And sure enough, it came. The only card that could save him. There was no other outs for him.
Small raise from RST with the ace-9. And got it for no risk there. Very, very impressive. He's just really squeezing these guys. He's trying to starve them of chips. Yeah,
and that's what you need to do, RST. I think you need to do all of James said. You need to squeeze them a little bit. You need to starve them. You need to keep them hungry.
I don't necessarily call this with King 5. I just, again, that...
No, I agree with you. King 5, no kicker. He's only got one card.
Yeah.
King.
I don't want to double him up on that necessarily.
No,
I think.
absolutely.
And also the way they've been playing, they've been quite selective. It's not like they're just pushing, because they've been putting small bets in and then choosing when to put big bets in. So they're basically highlighting when they've got a better sort of hand. So I don't think he wants to double him up there. I think...
No, not with King 5.
No.
No, I agree with you. Can't agree with you more.
If it had been a player who'd been pushing every time, now I could call with my King 5 because I think he's pushing every hand. It beats a random hand.
Now, for our viewers, James, could you explain why? Because I think I know what you're going to say to this one. In that situation, though, if it's Queen Jack, you call.
Yeah, it'd be more likely, yes.
And why would now? Well, a lot of players will say that King 5 is a better hand heads up against than Queen Jack. So why is it you'd call with Queen Jack?
It is because in this case the guy's been quite selective when he's big hand here.
Yeah. Will he get paid against 10-9? He might do. No. Well, he's not going to get paid against King 5. Oh, he might do actually because
he's playing to get money, and he will.
He will get paid. Yeah, he's very sneaky.
He's played it to get money, and he can afford to do that against this one guy because he just wants to. Oh, look at this, very cute.
Yeah, but you saw what happened last time, James. He didn't get his full equity on it.
What's he going? Is he going to check again? No, he's covered him again. Can Chaminade get away from this? It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah. How many times can she keep folding?
Because RST hasn't really declared his hand at all, has he?
No. It looks like a bluff.
Unbelievable. He's got away from it again. She. Oh, right. Well played. I mean...
That has been a good play, hasn't it? Gosh.
Incredible.
Escaped.
Very good escape.
Yeah. A bit like Houdini. Well, she's all in here, hoping for a call in this case, dominating that Jack 3. Of course, we know it's very unlikely Bruston will call with this. Oh, he does. He does call. Oh, he's got a flush draw. Has he picked up? Yes, he has.
No good, the king.
No, the king there. What do you make of that call? That was not a good call, was it, James?
I don't think so.
No.
But now, of course, he's... Oh.
Well, Chaminade's got the chance to wrestle his second spot minimum.
And I think he missed a chance there, Bruston, with that hand there. He should have actually just pushed in with even his chips. He could have got the extra money there. He's down to so little. The blinds are big blinds 3,000. He had money in the pot. There was extra money in the pot. He could have probably got extra money in.
Well, he's not throwing this one away, is he? That's for sure. He's going to play this.
He's found a worse situation.
Yeah.
He could have pushed there before and had a far...
Oh, he's hit the 6.
That's him
so
done.
That's the end of that. Once that 6 came down, it was all over.
Before you asked about the Queen Jack, against the guy who'd been quite selective, he hadn't been pushing all the time, the Queen Jack would be an easier call because, one, it's 2 overcards for more of the pairs, obviously 10s all the way down. Also, it's connected cards.
It's got more potential, hasn't it, basically?
Also, it's more likely to be missing some of his big cards in a way, because if he's gone in there with a bear ace, if he's gone in there with a bear king, it's likely to be the 2 middle cards. And so that's why it'd be better than the king 5.
Right, James, we've got emails coming out of our ears. I don't know, we've never had so many emails before. I think I'm going to have to do a few of them now, otherwise we just won't have enough time. We'll take it in turn, shall we? Do you want to do that one, and I'll do this one?
Yeah.
Go on, you do that one, and I'll do the next one.
Okay, this is one about you, so I'll better do it for you.
Okay, go on then.
Mark Prince Charles is fantastic. How about that?
Well,
you'll be watching this tournament, though, because this is the final stage, Mark. If there's anything...
Yeah, if there's anything interesting, I'll...
Okay.
Go on.
Hello. Okay, I use the subject to draw on your ego, but actually I do empathise with you the most in the presenters. I've been playing online for about 6 months My game has been improved 500% by watching PNL. I thought it was 480%. Never mind. About 2 months ago, I got into the money by coming third in a free tournament consisting of over 500 players. I became arrogant as I was winning play money, sit and goes too regularly. But recently, I've started to lose more games than I win. I think I've become robotic to plays after listening to your guys' advice instead of interpreting your advice into my own play style. So anyway, to be honest and brutal to the presenters, I think Mark has given me the most insight into a real game. And Kara, great Scott, is who I empathise most with. James, you're cool. And Casper too. And I include Dr. Tom in this when I say it's just a bit too robotic. I'd love to play against all you expert presenters and the non-experts as they are beautiful. But mainly I wish all you guys the best of luck and promise in your programme in the future as you have given me a freebie in poker lore. Thanks, especially to Mark, the don't let it go to your head.
Ah, isn't that a nice one? I like that one. No, my new best friend. The 20 quid will be on its way to you. So nothing's been happening much, James, since we've been doing that.
Where was he there? Mark. So where was he on this one? I've lost him on here.
I deleted it.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, so
I didn't know where it was. That's...
Yeah, so that was that one. Okay, so we've got, I'll do this one. This one is from, that one we've already done. Let me do that one. Okay, this one is from Dan in Essex. Yeah. This one's Dan from Essex, and Dan in Essex is saying, "Evening, Mark and James." We had one from him earlier, didn't they? But anyway, oh, no, we have done this one. Sorry, my mistake.
It's you deleting me. I'm getting lost.
There you go. Okay, this is one. This one's from James. First off, great show as always. I've only played poker on the internet and doing pretty well. I'm quite interested in playing in a live tournament like those on the internet. Where's the best place to do this, as I don't want to spend too much on my first few goes in case I'm terrible live. Also, how do you have two even stacks of chips and coverage and converge them into one like they do on TV? Okay, so he means the chip. Well,
Mark, just a sec. This is getting to. 1 sec here. 1500, 300. We're getting really crunch time here. RST sort of chiseling him down here. Chaminade, the big blind. Pair of jacks. He's just called again. He likes to play trickily with his big hands. I quite like this, actually. He's got him so dominated in chips. It's a good time to have a contest. And he's just hoping that his opponent clicks something. He doesn't ever get paid on the end there. I think he's going to have to start putting the bet in on the turn for something, make them draw for something.
Yeah, exactly. He's not. He keeps putting it on the end and he doesn't get paid.
I like the way he wants to play a hand with a big hand, though, and not be worried about it getting outdrawn, because the guy hasn't got enough chips to really hurt him. He just wants to be there fishing against him when, you know, when he's got something good. Yes, Chaminade is from France.
Ah, Paris.
Paris, a French lady. And Chaminade has decided to push with 10 jack. Mark, look at this. It's against ace queen. And it's been called. Oh, Chaminade.
Well, housey.
Trip tens with 2 6s makes a house. Very nice. There we go. 10-10. What a wonderful flop for Chaminade.
So, just back to that email, James.
Yes,
first of all, this is James who sent the email. If you want to know where to play live, the best place to look at is have a look on the Hendon Mob website, thehendonmob.com. They've got a poker database there which shows all the places where you can play in the UK. So that's the best place to do it. Have a look there, and I'm not sure where you live, so it's very hard for me to suggest somewhere to you. But if you put down where you live, and you can see all the different places in the UK, that's a good place to start off. And then just phone up the local casino, ask them what they've got on and when, and hopefully they've got something in your category. However, if you are anywhere around the Luton district, I can strongly recommend that. They have a great little tournament over the weekends. And
Okay.
on that particular one, they have a £5 rebuy, which is nice and cheap for anyone wanting to play that.
Okay, let's see back to this Tony again. And just takes down the blinds again. Chaminade there, got 30,000, but well out-chipped. And RST passes it, waiting for a big one, wants to finish her in one go, I think. Pair of sevens, I think he might like that. It's a real hand, he likes it. Oh, and he's done a small raise here. Now, if she calls that, oh, and she's hit the flop, she's hit the pair of nines. Oh, I didn't like that. If you've hit the flop there, you haven't got enough chips to muck around.
Well, look, it's gone up and down straight draw. 4, 5, 6, 7, an 8,
Chaminade,
or a 3, or a 7 will win this. Or the 3 comes. That's it. He's hit the straight curtains, isn't it?
And Chaminade, I didn't like the way you played that, I'm afraid, young lady. You had the top pair. You haven't got enough chips to muck around.
Yeah,
You've
and the kicker's not good. That's the problem.
But you should have just pushed. In the heads up here, what do? Top pair, you're not going to be putting this down. Just push there. And the sevens would have passed. The way he's been playing, he would have passed.
Yeah, good chance of him passing.
Well, because he's been selected. He's been waiting for the... He's been waiting for the
But she
killer
came back
hand.
very well, though.
She did come back well. I just think that there was just one little error there. She'd found a thing there. She's put in a small bet. You don't want to play on there with this hand. And you haven't really got enough chips to start finding where you are, because it's going to be very hard to put down top pair when you've only got so many chips.
Okay.
If it had been on the other foot and he had more chips, yes, he could put in a feeler bet because he could get away from it, because he could afford to get away from it because he had more chips. She didn't have enough chips, should have committed. That was the mistake. But anyway, well played to both of you.
Yeah, well played, Chaminade. I don't agree with James on that. So, anyway, let's move on.
You are joking.
I am joking, yeah, I'm joking. Right, this one was from James, as he said earlier. And that's how... answered the first part of the question, James. You also know how to ruffle chips.
Ruffle chips?
Ruffle chips.
Oh, God.
Do you know?
Riffle.
Ripple, whatever it's called.
I think you split them like this, and then you go... like that. Oops, it wasn't a very good one, was it?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult on a hard surface.
On a base is better.
Yeah.
You just split them there,
Practice,
and then you
my
just
dear
there
friend.
like this.
Practice playing
There
live.
you go. Hey! And then
Nice
you
one.
get the one chip like this, and you go like that. Hey! There we go. Party tricks.
Okay. Thanks. Well done, that, Jamesy. So I hope that answers your question. We've got about a minute per email, James.
Okay,
so
we've
not
got
very
one
much
from
time.
Zitty here. Great stuff tonight. Contrasting styles, maybe. Love it. I know the idea with this game is to play aggressively on these quick sit-and-goes, but is it worth showing strength with mid-poor hands early doors to eliminate or advertise? You're unlikely to be able to play the game based on cards, so do you pinch blinds at 10, 20, 20, 40 and show intent, or do you keep it slow until blinds increase and start getting busy? I don't think you've got enough chips or enough time to advertise at all here. There's just not time. Yes, for me, I think you should be putting your chips in probably when you've got a better hand and the blinds are bigger and you have a good smash and probably double up. You haven't got much time to play around. If you're in a slow tournament, different thing. Let's just email it from email.
Yeah.
Next
one is from Marie. Marie is saying, hi guys, thanks for the tawny advice about being short stacked and 7 times a big blind, etc. Especially shoving all my chips in with any cards when I'm getting low in chips. This advice was given a few nights ago. I've since got into the money 7 out of 10 times. Fantastic. Very nice indeed. In a $5 sit and goes. Taking on board all your advice. I was not sure before when to move, but now feel much more confident. I should really pay you half. We won't object. We won't object. Will you object?
What's that?
Do you want to pay us half her winnings?
Yeah, that's fine, yes.
Yeah,
I'd have
that's
preferred
fine.
60%, but
Send
we'll
it
do half.
through. Send it through. I really should pay off. Great show as always, especially all your analysis in tonight's Sit and Go. Well, thanks very much for that. It's been a good, good show, hasn't it?
Next one. Hi, James and Mark, or should I say girls? Handbags at 10 paces, maybe. Great show so far. This is from Trev, by the way. Tragic Trev.
Okay.
Great show so far. Some real fire in your bellies tonight and fantastic debate. Thank you. The straw poll on the 25-50 cent table is at 6 agree with James and 2 have no opinion. All very well, but the best way to sort this out is to take all your clothes off, get lathered up and have a good old-fashioned fisticuffs. The ratings will soar and you could settle your differences in this truly manly fashion. It will be like pistols at dawn. I think he misspelt it. The bottom line is that you are both right and you have testiculated your points eloquently. Testiculate. I can't say it. This is where you fly your hands up into the air and talk utter trash.
Yeah.
I think he said something about spheres. Who knows? Your go.
My go. Okay, this one is from Max, small one in brackets. The disagreement makes this show the greatest ever. For the most part, I have to agree with James' arguments. Would Mark play the same way in the early stages of multi-table tournaments? Would I play the same way? No. Absolutely not, for the simple reason that I'm not looking to blow chips off with King Queen. Very simple. I'm looking to accumulate chips, take chances, but King Queen's not the kind of hand I want to take a chance with, to be perfectly honest. So there's your answer. On to you, James.
Okay, next one. Dear Poker Night Live team, first of all, great stuff for providing a great show with good advice. First of all, James, I agree with you on the argument of the continuation bet, as I would never want to waste 20% of my chip stack when I haven't got best position, as you have only ace high and you could have been walking into two pairs or trips or a draw to a straight, which you're not going to get to them to fold, and are only losing to chips to them that even if you hit your ace. Tend to agree. P.S. James, didn't like your end to your tourney, as you didn't have to risk the majority of your chips on such a bad hand. You could have waited a couple of hands to get a better hand. You weren't that short chip stacked. I think your TV screen might have been a bit fuzzy. I only had 400 chips.
No, I think it means 7-9 before that.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one.
They weren't my last chips. The 400 were.
James is a stubborn mule, you know. He won't back off. You know, if he thinks 7-9's a good hand, you know, we saw it with King 8, didn't we? You know, he's reliving his Paris days. Morning, Mark and James. Thoroughly enjoying the show and the banter debate. It's entertaining background chatter while I play. This evening, I've gone back to a site I haven't played for a while, and away from the people I play regularly on the TV tables. Currently, I'm in a small multi-table tourney and have played a couple of sit-and-goes. I can only assume that P&L watching, playing, asking and listening is largely responsible for what I'm experiencing now. That is, out of the context of playing regularly with Hoofy, etc., I have learned a lot and the tables I first played, to which I've now returned, are so much less threatening than once they were. Just to say thanks again to Poker Night Live and keep it up. Debate and opinions are what we all need. So thanks very much for that. And that was from Steve. Thanks very much, Steve.
Next one, because we've got loads of them pouring in here. Email from Drum Ace. Hi, James and Mark. Firstly, congrats on a very entertaining programme. I have just played an MTT, and in approximately an hour, I played 3 hands. I'm a tight player. I believe if you play the right cards well, you can double or triple up. I had Jack-Jack in late position and limped in. Someone else raised 3 times the big blind, which I flat called. The flop came out 8, ace, 8. And after an all-in, I had to fold my Jack-Jack. Then I got Jack-Ace suited spades and limped in again with a flop of 3 clubs. And all-in, I had to fold down to a third of my original starting stack. I again get Ace-Jack suited spades, and I'm all in, unfortunately up against Ace-King, unsuited, who catches a king. Would you guys have played any different, or should I put it down to bad flops, etc.? I wouldn't have won any pots at all with any other hands I got dealt, so maybe some tournaments are simply a no-go unless you bluff like a madman and never get any callers.
How do you play the jacks, James?
Ooh, Ace-Jack.
Flat call?
Well, hang on, which one are you talking about, Mark, before you...
This is the first section. He's played in that tournament. I believe that he played a triple drop.
I
had jacks in late position.
No, he had a pair of jacks in late position.
And limped in.
Was this the early stages? Yeah, this is the early stages. Listen, early stages, if the blinds are very... I think it's when the blinds are very small. Yes, you can limp in. I mean...
But then he's been raised. And then he flat calls after that.
And someone else raised 3 times the big blind, which I flat called. That's fair enough, you've got position. So that's not worked out too bad. You can now know where you are, and then you got away from the flop. I don't think anything went wrong with that. You probably got away from a hand you were losing on. Mark Banin, I've seen limping with pairs in early stages of the tournament myself.
I don't remember doing that.
I remember seeing it. No, you haven't. No, I think you've just been a bit unlucky here. Your principle's quite good. You were playing quite tight. You were trying to find hands where you knew where you were. You've been unlucky. You've kept on walking into things or had to get away from them. It does happen. We can't win every tournament.
Okay, this one is Simon, a.k.a. Tirade. Hey, James and Mark. Just a little message to say thanks to Mark for his advice. I play lots of free rolls, and last night I came 11th out of 8,000.
How many?
8,000. When before I only placed in the top 100. Thanks to Mark's advice about playing cards late position with possibilities I connected, suited, unsuited, and it was a 7-8 offsuit that actually tripled me up against aces and kings, who both slow played me pre-flop, and I made the nut straight. Before, I wouldn't have called with this hand or even a call small raise, but it did it just before the cut-off with your comments. You guys on P&L have improved my game no end, and I hate to think what player I would be now if I didn't watch and learn from you. Thanks. What a fantastic email. Yeah, fantastic one. Thanks very much, Simon. And what a 11th out of 8,000, James.
That's absolutely incredible.
It is unbelievable, isn't it?
Okay, now we've got one from John Donlan. James, you're wrong. Pure and simple. Mark is right. It's a profitable play to bet into a rubbishy low flop from the small blind. What hand was that one?
He's talking about the 8-5-2 flop.
Huh?
When you play,
no, but that wasn't in the small blind.
No, but he's referring to...
Oh, he just makes it up, okay.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. Oh, do you? Good. Where do you play? 1 in 3 times you get called. A, B, then let it go. But most of the time, everyone folds, even up to 4 or 5 players. Hope this settles the argument.
It does. And John, and the prize goes to John Donlan. Well done, John. Prize is on its way to you.
John, good luck. Hope you have lots of buy-ins in your pocket.
No, you're dead right, John. And don't worry, you'll be taking home a lot of prizes that way.
Continuation bets against 4 or 5 players is dangerous. Don't try this at home.
Okay, you've got one from Russell T. And Russell T saying, guys, I think it's time you both agree to disagree on the big fight question of doing a continuation bet against 3 players on a low flop. Surely we have had just the perfect example of the difference between your 2 styles. James as a very tight rock. Yeah, can't disagree with that. Who prefers to have the hand, and Mark as a creative, looser player who doesn't mind putting some chips into the pot to see what happens. Now, we all need to see you both kiss to make up. No, I'm afraid...
We're not kissing, that's for sure.
No, we're definitely not doing that. This is a late show, but, you know, there are limits. Yeah.
Okay.
And, I've kissed James before, and it's not good.
He's too bristly. Email from Robelido. Hi guys, can you give me some advice on a particular play I made in a 100,000 tourney? A big tournament for me. Big tournament for anyone. I qualified via satellite, and in the tournament I was running quite well. They were paying 100 places, and I was running about 50th with about 9,000 chips, blinds 250, 500, 40 players still running. I get dealt ace-queen unsuited in the big blind. The table has by now got quite tight as we're getting close to the money. The guy under the gun raises the minimum bet, 1,000. Whew, it's a long story. It gets folded to me and I call. I thought about re-raising, but was myself in making the money mode and didn't want to commit too much of my stack. The flop comes ace, 3, 6, rainbow. First to act and I bet the pot, 2,250, and he raises me all in. The other guy has my chip stack covered. Are you putting this hand down? Goodness, I can't remember it. I figured the guy might have aces, but if you think that every time someone makes a raise under the gun, then you'll never win anything. I decide to call anyway, and he has ace-king, and I'm out. Would you fold and make a safe cash-in, or do you go for it and be on one of the top 5 chip leaders with a chance at the big money? I put him on ace-jack, ace-10 to be honest, but I'd just been moved to the table, so I had no real read on his betting. Never mind, though, at least it wasn't a bad beat. Great show, fellas. The only principle I'll say here very quickly is, generally in poker, I want to be the better rather than the caller. And if you follow that principle, you'll end up being a winner.
Okay, move on to the next one, James. We've got email from Paul. Hi, James and Mark. How are you? I think to win at any form of gambling, you have to enjoy what you're doing. I've read extensively on no-limit hold'em, cash games, tournament games, and even stud. However, as I also bet on the horses, I can't fit everything in with poker, so I stick to no-limit hold'em tournaments as only I really enjoy playing, especially the big tournaments online only. Contrary to what Mark once said about making a profit in tourneys, I in fact do make a good profit at multi-table no-limit. I think I do well as I'm prepared to back off and aim for a high money place, and if I get lucky, I'll make the final table. Great show. Thanks for that. On to the next one, James, from Johan. I'll do it. Just heard James say that it was correct of one of the players on the multi-table finals who got all in pre-flop with ace-k for over 20k to win 2k. How can that be correct? You guys often talk about risk and reward. To bet 20k to win 2 seems weird to me. An ace-king is a hand I want action with. He needs to get some hand chips and he doesn't want action with. It's very easy to say in that situation. No, but I don't think it's a bad play,
No, it's not a bad play because the blinds are so big. How many big blinds is 20,000? Not many. I think big blind was 3,000. He's got 7 big blinds. He could well be called by ace-queen, ace-jack. He gets called all in for that. He doesn't have to muck around. Nothing wrong with that play at all.
Okay, email from D-Nuts. Last one. We've just about done it, James. Great show tonight as I have to assess both sides of the debate and draw my conclusions rather than just following the gospel of Mark or James. Sorry, lost my Bible, no quotes included. I would like to progress a live tournament play, but was wondering what internet games would give me a better grounding, cash or sit and goes? James, you can answer that. Cash and sit and goes, James.
What's that?
What should he play? Cash and sit and goes to start him off.
Oh, play sit and goes because you've got a controlled amount of money you know you're playing for.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show for tonight. In the meantime, it's good night from me and good night from James.